year, thanks to a slump in volatility that traditionally generates profits for traders.
Now we have more job cuts coming to the auto industry. Daimler plans to eliminate thousands of positions worldwide by the end of 2022. Mike Bell is global macro strategist for JP Morgan.
You've now had two of the large car manufacturers announcing job cuts in the last couple of weeks. With the employment component of the manufacturing PMI in Germany as weak as it is at the moment, that must be a cause for at least some caution.
Daimler says the job cuts are part of a push to revive profit margins that have been squeezed by investment in electric and self-driving vehicles.
Today is the biggest shopping day of the year, with consumers flooding into retail stores across the country. JCPenney opened its doors at 2 p.m. yesterday, followed by Macy's and Kohl's 3 hours later. Let's get more of the Black Friday action now from Bloomberg's Jeff Bellinger.
36% of consumers plan on heading to stores today, according to a survey from PwC. That's fewer than in past years as shopping continues to shift online. Retailers remain aggressive with promotions in key gift-giving categories such as electronics and toys. JCPenney is offering 80% off some fine jewelry, while Macy's is giving away 13 items for free after rebates. Cyber Monday should see a big gain in sales. Deloitte projects 16% growth, bringing this year's total volume for Cyber Monday to $9.2 billion. In New York, I'm Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Jeff, thanks. Well, it's a big day for brick and mortar stores. It is also the start of a big season for FedEx and UPS. Shippers could be under more pressure this year as a late for Thanksgiving shortens the shopping season. We get details from Bloomberg Intelligence senior transportation analyst Lee Klaskow.
The time between Thanksgiving and Christmas is compressed. It's typically around 30 days over the last 5 years. This year it's only 26 days, and last year it was 32 days. So it's a compressed time period. And also, we are expecting e-commerce packages to increase around 10% from last year. So we're doing more volume in less time, and that is going to increase the execution risk that the parcel carriers like FedEx and UPS are going to face this year during peak season.
FedEx and UPS have invested in technology and automation to increase efficiency, but a tighter time frame may still strain their networks.
And Facebook and Instagram, they're back up and running after outages over the Thanksgiving holiday. Facebook says it's resolved an issue with its central software that prevented users from accessing some of its apps. Ahead of the cash open on Wall Street this morning, abbreviated trading day. Dow futures down 59 points. S&P futures, they are 7 points lower than NASDAQ futures, down 25. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak. 6:07 on Wall Street, and let's get news from around the world this morning. We say good morning to Bloomberg's Michael Barr.
Thank you very much, John. After a surprising American troops in Afghanistan at Thanksgiving, President Donald Trump headed back to the U.S. for an extended holiday weekend at his resort in Florida. President Trump made his first visit to the site of America's longest war on Thursday.
But there's nowhere I'd rather celebrate this Thanksgiving than right here with the toughest, strongest, best and bravest warriors on the face of the earth. You are indeed that.
Bloomberg's Josh Wingrove has more from Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan.
President Trump just came here for a few hours or so. He arrived and served Thanksgiving dinner to the U.S. troops who are stationed here. After that, he met with the Afghanistan president, and during that bilateral meeting, announced that Taliban peace talks had resumed.
The president says the U.S. wants the Taliban to agree to a ceasefire and will continue to reduce its troop commitment to the region. China has reacted furiously after President Trump signed 2 bills aimed at supporting human rights in Hong Kong. China says the implementation of the bills will undermine cooperation in important areas. Hong Kong police ended their blockade of a university campus today after surrounding it for 12 days to try to arrest anti-government protesters holed up inside. Police removed a stash of nearly 4,000 gasoline bombs left behind by protesters who fought battles around 2 weeks ago with the riot officers on surrounding streets. The standoff at Hong Kong Polytechnic University was one of the most dramatic episodes in nearly 6 months of unrest that began in June. Gun rights advocates backed by President Trump hope a U.S. Supreme Court clash over New York City restrictions on transporting firearms will be a Second Amendment victory. With a conservative majority strengthened by 2 Trump appointees, the court on Monday will hear a case that could produce its first ruling bolstering gun rights since 2010. Over 3 million spectators turned out for the 93rd annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York.
The parade is so great. It's so big. This is my second time here, and it's just great. I'm here with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my grandkids.
I don't miss this for nothing in the world.
It just reminds you of what you should be thankful for, and it's just a great time.
Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you. Coming up on 610 on Wall Street, time down for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update. And here's Rob Boschke.
Good morning, John. All three road teams picked up Thanksgiving Day wins, two in dominating fashion as Buffalo continues to rep the Empire State to the tune of 9-3 after crushing the Cowboys in Big D.
Snap, Allen, lock left side, checks down. He runs, sprints, pumps, 15, 10, 5 to the end zone line. He's in, touchdown, Josh Allen.
Westwood won on the call 26-15 as former Cowboy wideout Cole Beasley got some revenge. 6 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Dallas falls to 6-6. The Bears took advantage of the Lions' third-string quarterback to hold on for a 24-20 win in Detroit. Bears quarterback Mitch Trubisky.
I just feel like I'm doing my job. It's my job to get the ball to the playmakers. Whatever the defense gives us, I got to put the ball in the right spot, especially when everyone else does their job. O-line did a great job protecting. Everybody was in the right spot. Jesper ran his route, and you gotta just keep getting better, and you're proud of that growth, but it's bottom line, I gotta just do my job.
Chicago overcame a monstrous game from Detroit's Kenny Golladay. 4 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. When you think of the Saints, it's usually Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees, but the man they call the Swiss Army knife showed us his versatility.
Hill takes it, he's going to run straight ahead. First down, and Moy breaks free. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. How about that? Both Saints touchdowns by Taysom Hill.
Westwood won as Taysom Hill blocked a punt, ran for a touchdown, caught another. New Orleans rolls Atlanta 26-18. Hockey, the Devils scored 6 in Montreal to outlast the Canadiens 6-4. And that's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. John?
Rob, thanks a lot. And tune in tonight for the Bloomberg Business of Sports show when we speak with Mike Oresco, Commissioner of the AAC. He weighs in on college football rankings and media rights in collegiate sports. You can catch that conversation tonight at 8, tomorrow at 11 a.m. right here on Bloomberg Radio, or subscribe to the Bloomberg Business of Sports wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong.
Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Why do hedge funds and other alternative managers rely on Pershing? Mark Alderati, a managing director at BNY Mellon's Pershing and head of Prime Services, explains.
In today's environment of market volatility, Pershing's Prime Services is well positioned to support the needs of hedge funds and other alternative investment managers. Whether it's customized financing or securities lending solutions, platform access, or business expansion, BNY Mellon's Pershing is a prime broker who's committed to this business and agile enough to meet your evolving demands. Pershing helps to solve the needs of clients by advocating for them, providing unwavering strength, deep supply, and award-winning service that is at the core of everything we do. Find out what sets Pershing's prime brokerage team apart.
Learn more about the unique and industry-leading solutions for hedge funds and other alternative managers offered by BNY Mellon's Pershing. Visit our website at Pershing.com. Pershing LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
So if your party wins, can we expect a healthier NHS? Even with an ageing population? But what about privatisation? With all the parties promising more NHS funding, how will they pay for it?
From the NHS to taxation, the Times and the Sunday Times will guide you through. Pick up your copy today or visit thetimes.co.uk.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked breads to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
From Bloomberg Television, here's Taylor Riggs.
Splunk is the world's first data-to-everything platform. Its software collects machine data and provides insight into businesses worldwide. Joining us for an exclusive interview, it is Splunk President and CEO, Doug Merritt. I wanted to talk about this new pricing model, the volume-based and then booking the revenue annually instead of on a multi-year basis. Both of those analysts love today. Why the change?
One of the biggest issues we've had with Splunk is you get so much value out of the platform, and it's a data volume-based product that people get scared on how much volume is going to go through. And we've heard for years that the lack of predictability is something they'd want to have a better option around. And so we came out with two pricing metrics a month and change ago that were one's an enhancement, one is new. The enhancement for data volume contracts is we've tiered the pricing and really condensed the tiers into much broader bands with an unlimited option at the upper end of that pricing curve. The alternative, which is probably more fundamentally appropriate long term, is just the amount of infrastructure that you need to operate the product. We rolled both out because the way that you use the product could make one more advantageous for a customer versus the other.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Bloomberg Daybreak is out on customer terminals, bringing you all the news you need to start your day. Let's check the latest headlines with Hannah George at the Bloomberg Daybreak desk. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning, Nathan. President Trump says talks with the Taliban have resumed during a surprise Thanksgiving trip to Afghanistan. He met with both the president of Afghanistan and US troops. Morgan Stanley has put on leave or fired 4 FX traders. Sources say the firm is probing alleged mismarking of trades linked to EM currencies that may have helped hide up to $140 million in losses. Black Friday is underway and the stakes are high, with fewer days than usual between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Adobe forecasts e-commerce sales of $7.5 billion today and $9.4 billion on Cyber Monday. And euro area inflation accelerated in November, offering some comfort for the ECB, but not a lot. The rate picked up to 1% from a 3-year low of 0.7% in October. For all the news you need to start your day, check out Daybreak on your mobile phone on the Bloomberg Anywhere app. Nathan.
All right, Hannah, thanks. Now let's check the markets as we do every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures lower by almost 8 points now. Dow futures down 63. NASDAQ futures down 27 points. DAX in Germany down 0.1%. The CAC in Paris up 0.1%. 10 years up 1/32, yield 1.76%. 2-year Treasury yield close to 1.62%. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is down 0.1%, down 6 cents, 58.05 a barrel. The euro at 1.1003 against the dollar, the yen 109.55. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Thanksgiving plans were wrecked for people in the community of Port Neches, Texas. This after an explosion at a chemical plant Wednesday. Families in surrounding areas were told to evacuate, leaving their Thanksgiving plans behind. The community in La Mesa, California was caught off guard when heavy downpours caused flooding in the area. The rain washed away cars, shut down roads, and even pushed an RV across a local campground. In sports in the NFL, for the Thanksgiving buffet, the Saints beat the Falcons in the late game 26-18. The Bills downed the Cowboys, and the Bears came from behind to beat the Lions. In the NHL, the Devils won. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you. It is now 6:20 on Wall Street. We're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studios. This is Bloomberg Daybreak. Well, while you were feasting on your turkey yesterday, Poonam Goyal, senior analyst of U.S. retailing with Bloomberg Intelligence, was out at the malls, going to the Freehold Mall yesterday. Is that right?
That is correct.
What did you find? One of my favorite malls, by the way. What did you find there in central New Jersey?
So, it was actually quite interesting. JCPenney was the first store to open. They opened at 2 p.m., and they did have a long line ahead of stores opening outside as people awaited for that free coupon, which gives you either $10 off $10 or $100 off $100 or $500 off $500, depending on what you scratch off. So we noticed a long line there, but as the day unfolded, the store got pretty quiet. In fact, when the mall was busiest upon opening after 5, 6 p.m., depending on what retailer you entered, JCPenney was the quietest store that we observed in our channel checks. What we saw that was most crowded was Victoria's Secret's pink line. It was about a 30-minute wait to get in at 7 p.m. there. Macy's was a little crowded at the onset at 5 p.m. when they opened their doors. Kohl's, less crowded. The lines are pretty short, 5 minutes to get in, but we did find that Kohl's had probably the best deals of all the department stores, so we expected the store to get crowded as the night went on, and it was after 9 p.m. It was more crowded than it was when it opened at 5.
And if memory serves me correctly, they have the Apple Store, and as you go into one of the entrances, that two-floor LL Bean store. So if you want to pick up a canoe, what's the discounting? Can you speak to how that is going to impact the margins and the bottom line for retailers?
Sure. So I think the discounting that we see over this weekend is planned. So it shouldn't have a material impact outside of what's expected on the margins. Now, the question is, as we go forward, do we see that lull that we typically see every year after Black Week? And if that's the case, then we start to see promotions rise, and that's where you kind of get a sense if discounting is higher than what's planned. And in this year, I think it'll be a little different because there's 6 fewer selling days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so that lull won't necessarily be there, which is actually better for margins.
Now, the Scrooges over at Bloomberg Economics are predicting a lackluster holiday shopping season. Are you seeing any signs of that?
I'd say a mixed holiday season. So I'd say there's going to be clear winners and losers this holiday season. Some stores will do better than others. We were at Target yesterday, and the traffic was much better than it was last year. In fact, upon speaking to the store reps, they said the doorbuster deals on video games were out within the first 15 to 20 minutes. So people were coming out. They were looking for the doorbusters, the deals that you can only find in store. But there were lots of blanket deals that were good deals that were also available online, which is where we think a lot of people may have also spent their time.
Interestingly enough, we spoke to our columnist, Andrea Felstead, earlier this morning. She said in Europe, where the export of Black Friday from the U.S., there's a lot of pushback, especially on the continent, and for reasons of being green. I don't know. What do you make of that? I doubt that it's ever going to catch hold here, but your thoughts?
Being green is something that the younger generation is demanding, even here. But that said, it's it hasn't impacted online shopping, right, where most of the packaging is involved in between going back and forth. So retailers' answer to that, there's two things that they're pushing right now. One is buy online, pick up in store, which is you can still get all these great deals, but come pick it up from the store so we don't have to, ship it to you. It saves them money and it's also greener. And the second is re-commerce, which is a trend that we've been talking about for quite some time and we think will gain steam this holiday, which is when you're renting clothes. So, a lot of the specialty apparel retailers have launched their own rental subscription services in which people can rent and not buy. So the more use you get out of an item, the more greener you are.
Can you, in 30 seconds, what's hot this holiday season?
I think it's the console systems are hot. A lot of people were looking for the small electrics, video games again, and also toys, of course, with the Frozen launch. That was everywhere. And we also saw people flocking to cold weather items, so whether it was jackets or boots. Those did relatively well.
A chilly morning this morning, and that really matters. Poonam Goyal from Bloomberg Intelligence, providing unique real-time research and context on industries, all the market and government factors that impact business. You can access this function at BIGO. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Mercedes-Benz maker Daimler plans to eliminate thousands of jobs worldwide by the end of 2022. The world's top producer of luxury and commercial vehicles is trying to revive profit margins squeezed by heavy investments in electric and self-driving vehicles. The stock futures point to a dip at the open this morning ahead of a shortened trading day on Wall Street as investors return from the Thanksgiving holiday and turn their attention toward the retail sector. Black Friday kicks off unofficially a very crucial time for retailers counting on the holiday shopping season. Investors may have gotten their fill on Thanksgiving, but they're also still hungry for evidence of progress on a U.S.-China trade deal. The next batch of U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods is due to start December 15th. There is also additional tension building over Hong Kong. China's foreign ministry warned again of unspecified retaliation for President Donald Trump signing legislation that expresses support for Hong Kong protesters. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA/SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We heart in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Dell's biggest Black Friday ever is on. Save up to £700 on Windows 10 laptops and desktops. Plus up to 50% off across our award-winning monitors, all with free delivery. Call 0800 085 4878 to talk to a Dell advisor today. That's 0800 085 4878. Or visit dell.co.uk/SB deals for details on the best offers in Dell's biggest Black Friday ever. Limited time online offer. Hurry while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Owning your own business doesn't automatically make you an accounting expert. So it's good to know that when you choose to manage your money with Sage,
You don't just get great business management at your fingertips. You get great local support too. Anytime, anywhere. Simple solutions from Sage. Trusted by over 1 million British businesses to manage finances, operations, and people. Find out more at sage.com/automate.
The S in Audi S-Line stands for many things like sporty, stylish, streamlined, and now seductively priced. Like the new Audi A4 S-Line, which you can now have from £359 per month, £2,154 initial rental. Test drive one at your local Audi centre, but you'll have to be swift. The offer ends soon. Search Audi S-Line. Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik. With 48-month contract hire, 10,000 miles per annum, 18s and over, subject to status. Damage charges may apply. No ownership. Ordered by 31st of December 2019 from participating centres. Audi Financial Services. Visit audi.co.uk.
At Asda this Christmas, treat them to a gift or two, or three, with 3 for 2 on a wide range of beauty and toiletry gift sets, from Dove, Lynx, Bayliss and Harding and many more. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores and lines subject to availability. Individual prices £1 to £20, cheapest item free.
From the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York, Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston, Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco, Bloomberg 960 to the country, Sirius XM Channel 119, and around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
We're at 6:30 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm John Tucker.
And I'm Nathan Hager. We're just about 3 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. Global stocks are declining on this final trading day of the month after steep losses in Asia. Hong Kong led declines in the region with a 2% drop for the Hang Seng. We get more from Bloomberg FX and rate strategist Richard Jones.
It's really been sort of relentless today in Asia, second day of losses, and today seems to have picked up a little bit of momentum. It's been a really choppy month, I think a very difficult month. All of the positivity that we've seen on trade has kind of had the air taken out of it because of this latest move by President Trump on Hong Kong and signing that bill into law. So further resolution on trade doesn't seem to be forthcoming, and I think equities are taking a hit for it today.
The MSCI Asia Pacific Index fell nearly 1% today. Right now, Europe's Stock 600 is little changed to the downside, while S&P futures are lower by 0.2%.
And we have a bit of drama brewing at Morgan Stanley, with sources telling us the firm has placed on leave or fired at least 4 currency traders. They're accused of hiding losses linked to emerging market trades. Let's get more on the story from Bloomberg's Denise Pellegrini.
Sources say Morgan Stanley is investigating whether the 4 mismarked securities to conceal as much as $140 million in losses. The traders include Scott Eisner and Rodrigo Yola in London. No comment from any of them. One source tells us Morgan Stanley's currency options desk has struggled this year because of a lack of volatility, and a source says the company apparently already booked some of the losses last quarter. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Denise, thanks. Today is the biggest shopping day of the year. Retailers remain aggressive with promotions in key gift-giving categories like electronics and toys. Bert Flickinger is Managing Director of Strategic Resource Group.
Auto sales will be strong, e-commerce strong, off-price strong, with the demarcation of a lot of trouble in the department store sector and even tougher times ahead for department stores.
And Cyber Monday should see a big gain in sales as well. Deloitte's project 16% growth, bringing this year's total Cyber Monday volume to $9.2 billion.
And we have more job cuts coming to the auto industry. Daimler plans to eliminate thousands of positions worldwide by the end of 2022. It says the cuts are part of a push to revive profit margins squeezed by investment in electric and self-driving vehicles.
And John, S&P futures are lower now by 6.5 points. Dow futures down 50. NASDAQ futures lower by 21 points. 10-year Treasury up 1/32. The yield 1.76%. 2-year Treasury yield close to 1.62%. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is down 0.1%, down 9 cents, $58.02 a barrel. COMEX gold up 0.1%, up $1.80 to $14.6260 an ounce. And the euro is at 1.1003 against the dollar. Straight ahead, the latest world and national news. This is Bloomberg.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. 6:33 on Wall Street. Let's get news from around the world this morning. We'll say good morning to Bloomberg's Michael Barr.
John, thank you very much. President Donald Trump's more than 3-hour Thanksgiving fly-in to Afghanistan was a closely guarded secret to ensure his security. After what seemed like a normal day at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida with a round of morning golf, the president was flown back to the Washington area. The president then traveled to Bagram Airfield Thursday, where he served turkey and spent time with the troops. President Trump also announced that peace talks with the Taliban are back on.
We've hit them so hard, they've never been hit this hard. In the history of the war, they have never been hit this hard. And they want to make a deal. So we'll see what happens. If they make it, fine. If they don't make it, that's fine.
Bloomberg's Josh Wingrove at Bagram Airfield reports the president also had a brief meeting with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani.
The brief Thanksgiving trip for the president, a surprise trip for the president, who last we saw was in Florida and took this trip to celebrate Thanksgiving with the troops here.
After the secret trip, President Trump headed back to the U.S. The U.S. State Department is now confirming that an unspecified number of Americans are among the cruise ship passengers killed in a horrific crash Wednesday in Belize. Local police superintendent Alejandro Cabo says that the cause of the two-vehicle crash is still being investigated.
There was a head-on collision which causes the death of the 4 Belizean nationals and the 3 foreigners, injuring several other persons.
The cruise line passengers were traveling on a 7-day voyage on the Carnival Vista, which departed from Galveston and was expected to return tomorrow. Hong Kong police have reopened public access to a university campus after blocking it for 12 days to try to arrest protesters holed up inside. A cordon around the university has been lifted, and investigators have left Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Police said that over 2 days, they seized almost 4,000 gasoline bombs when they were able to get inside. It is that time of the year. The crowds, the merchandise, the Black Friday sales, oh, the humanity.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah, the first time.
Everyone's just so frantic. They just want to get everything.
Some shoppers crowded stores on Thanksgiving night to snap up sales, and malls are expected to be busy today. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you. Coming up on 6:36 on Wall Street. Time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update. Here's Rob Bushka.
Good morning, John. The road teams made it a perfect 3-0 on Thanksgiving as Buffalo props up the state with their 9-3 record thanks to quarterback Josh Allen as they beat Dallas 26-15.
Those are usually tough, but we stuck to what we liked, putting some game plan stuff for their defense, and our guys went out there and executed. And to ask that from them on a short week, they did a phenomenal job, from route running to concepts that we put in, to blocking schemes. And like I said, I credit all those guys too.
Former Dallas wide receiver Cole Beasley came out big with 110 yards on 6 grabs and a touchdown. Dallas still leads the NFC East at 6-6. Chicago held off Detroit and their third-string quarterback in a 24-20 win and a resurgence for quarterback Mitch Trubisky.
Here's the snap. Trubisky fakes the toss, lobs it up for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Chicago. Jesper Horsted with a fingertip catch. What a throw by Trubisky.
Trubisky finished with 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Bears are also 6-6. You know who's not 6-6? The Saints, after beating the Falcons 26-18, becoming the first team to clinch a playoff spot. Their coach, Sean Payton.
Whirlwind of a game. Was proud of how we finished. Made it a little bit more difficult than it should have been. And yet, our guys battled and hung in there. Defensively, I thought we played outstanding.
New Orleans is 10-2 thanks to Taysom Hill, who ran for a touchdown, caught another, and even blocked a punt. NHL, the Devils beat the Habs north of the border 6-4. Rangers dropped the puck in Boston at 1 o'clock. Hoops, New York hosts Philadelphia. Brooklyn entertains Boston. That's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. John?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It is now 6:37 on Wall Street, and it's time for the Bloomberg Small Business Report. College laboratories and dorm rooms are responsible for a surprising number of business startups and products. Remember, Google came out of Stanford, Gatorade came out of the University of Florida. At Johns Hopkins, they've been pairing the bright ideas of students and faculty with investors.
It's often that an entrepreneur or a business person connects with a faculty member, and they come together and say, we really like your science, we think there's a business there.
Christy Weiskill runs Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures.
We have everything from our Peabody School of Music, where someone has invented new technology around guitars, to and through cancer diagnostics and really everything in between.
Two medical students at the school started a small business focusing on medical records cybersecurity. With Hopkins' help, they've raised $20 million in venture capital. Now, for its part, the school receives an equity stake or future royalties. And that is today's Bloomberg Small Business Report. It is now 6:38 on Wall Street.
The following commentary is from Bloomberg Opinion.
Black Friday is here, and it's brick-and-mortar retailers' time to shine. I'm Sarah Halzak, a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. While consumers say they plan to spend more online than in stores this holiday season, data suggests that is not actually what will happen. In fact, 77% of holiday sales are expected to come from stores. On Black Friday, for a substantial group of shoppers, getting deals and checking off gift lists is not the primary goal. Many say they will visit stores today just for the sport of it, including, crucially, Generation Z shoppers. These days, physical stores also are an essential component of a well-run e-commerce strategy. Many customers now pick up online orders in stores, providing an opportunity to sell them on additional items. And store workers and inventory are crucial to fulfilling many of the online orders that show up on our doorsteps. That means physical stores will be part of the defensive strategy against Amazon for the foreseeable future. I'm Sarah Halzak. For more opinion, please go to Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPIN Go on the Bloomberg terminal.
This has been Bloomberg Opinion.
And Bloomberg Opinion commentaries can be heard every weekday at this time. Terminal customers can read more at OPIN Go. Some of the other stories we're watching today. Retail chain H&M testing a clothing rental service. Now, for now, it's only available in the store's home market of Sweden. Shoppers can rent garments for $37 a week. Banana Republic and Urban Outfitters have launched similar services as the fashion industry comes under fire for waste and pollution. In Hong Kong, protests are dragging down the city's third largest airline. Hong Kong Airlines is delaying salaries, saying it has been severely affected by the demonstrations. Only cabin crew and overseas staff will get their November wages on time. Everyone else will get paid December 6th. And in the UK, shares of e-commerce company Cato are surging. That's after they agreed to license the online grocery system to a Japanese retailer. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President, Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
We just got back from a beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Then it was time for glow-in-the-dark mini-golf. I got a hole-in-one. Well, 3. I'm a bit rusty, okay? There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
EasyJet fly to a wide range of ski destinations from London. So whether you want to go all out on a classic Alps experience or fancy something a little more low-key, it's smoother than ever, and you'll be there, well, you'll be there before you know it. Book now at easyjet.com.
Next. Nah. Nope. Boring. If you skip through loads of your TV channels, why are you paying loads of money for them? With TalkTalk TV and Faster Fibre, you can access the nation's favourite TV shows, a world of films and sport, live and on demand, all for £25.95 a month for 18 months. And if you're quick, you'll even get a year of Amazon Prime on us. Search TalkTalk TV. TalkTalk. For everyone. Offer ends 5th of December, subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
Connecting decision makers to a network of news and financial information 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
President Trump is making his way back to Florida on Air Force One after his Thanksgiving trip to Afghanistan, where he met with troops and Afghan President Ghani. Mr. Trump saying the U.S. is talking again with the Taliban, although correspondent Kristen Holmes tells us details are sketchy.
We don't have any details about what these talks are actually going to look like and what has been done so far, just essentially that they've been restarted.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said a short time ago it will be best if President Trump doesn't involve himself in Britain's upcoming elections when he visits London for a NATO summit next week. More than 50,000 people in East Texas remain under a mandatory evacuation order with a 10 p.m. curfew last night as fires continue at that chemical plant in Port Neches. Fire officials say they don't yet know when people will be allowed to return home. Wall Street's operating with a shortened session today after yesterday's break. Pre-market trading shows stock futures are following many global markets down a bit ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. I'm Michael Toscano.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
I'm Nathan Hager. Wall Street futures contracts are pointing to a weak start as traders resume action following the Thanksgiving holiday to a Black Friday shortened trading day. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures are lower by 6.5 points right now. Dow futures down 52. NASDAQ futures a loss of 20 points. DAX in Germany, little change to the upside. The CAC in Paris now higher by 0.2%. 10 years up, 132nd, yield 1.76%. The 2-year Treasury yield 1.61%. NYMEX crude oil down 0.1%, down 5 cents, $58.06 a barrel. COMEX gold up 0.1%, up $1.90 to $14.6270 an ounce. The euro is at 1.0995 against the dollar. The pound at 1.2903, and the yen is at 109.55. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Thank you very much, Nathan. President Trump made a surprise Thanksgiving visit to Afghanistan, saying that peace talks with the Taliban have resumed amid a push for a ceasefire and to reduce U.S. deployment in the region. The president landed at Bagram Airfield and greeted U.S. soldiers over a turkey dinner before meeting with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani. On this busy Black Friday shopping day, most consumers admit that they have taken time at work to open their browser and shop. According to new research from the advertising exchange OpenX and the Harris poll, 69% of the 2,000 consumers surveyed admit to shopping at work. In sports in the NFL, Thanksgiving buffet, the Saints beat the Falcons in the late game 26-18. The Bills down the Cowboys and the Bears came from behind to beat the Lions. In the NHL, the Devils won. Finally, from daybreak on the Bloomberg, on this day in history, the first popular video game was released in arcade form in 1972, Pong. It was simple, the graphics were crude, but hey, we loved it. Creator Nolan Bushnell, a founder of Atari, said he wanted a game anyone could play instantly, including drunk people at a bar. 4 months later, there were 10,000 Pong arcade games. John, by 1975, it was on home consoles.
So that's the metric for success, whether drunk people could play it? You must have been really good at it.
I worked at it really well. It was good. Global news, hick. 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I saw it through beer goggles, man. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Okay, don't tell your wife that. 6:49 on Wall Street. We're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios. Time now to check out what's going on in D.C. For the top stories of the nation's capital this morning, we bring in Bloomberg Washington reporter Kathleen Hunter. Kate, good morning to you. Let's start off with President Trump's surprise visit to Afghanistan. Very cloak and dagger stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, everything from flying and, taking off from a closed hangar, flying in a darkened plane. There was press simultaneously in Florida at his Mar-a-Lago resort and also traveling with him to Afghanistan. It sounds like the press who was on the plane didn't know where their destination was going to be until, basically very shortly before they landed. So this is not atypical for when the president of the United States travels to a region like Afghanistan. But when it does happen, it certainly sounds like it's, quite the intrigue.
And as part of that trip, he met with the president of Afghanistan, pushed for a ceasefire with the Taliban. What kind of deal is he looking for?
Yeah, so this is a kind of thorny issue or tricky issue that Trump has been trying to work towards, and it's in the broader context of Trump's efforts to reduce U.S. troops in the region. And so he did say that he did want to decrease troops by about another 3,000 to 4,000 in the region, and that would be part of some kind of a ceasefire agreement. But it doesn't sound as though they're there yet. There are concerns on the Afghan side about any kind of an agreement that would give too much power to the Taliban. And
I was going to ask, is the president of Afghanistan on board with any of this?
Yeah, it sounds as though that's the tricky issue that's going to have to be worked out, is whether or not any kind of a ceasefire agreement with the Taliban would give too much power to the Taliban, and that seems to be the concern on the Afghan side.
Is there any sort of timetable that's been laid out?
Well, I think, Trump, this is an issue that he hammered on a lot during his campaign, decrease U.S. troop involvement there. And so I think that it's something that he, the 2020 election coming up creates kind of a timetable that he, whether that's the official timetable or not, it creates a political imperative or political pressure to try to get some progress on this that he can tout ahead of the campaign.
What did he tell the troops?
So Trump, talked with the troops for quite a while. He, I think, the sense from the White House was that he wanted, or from the administration, is that he wanted to be there. In many ways, this is something that we've seen presidents do in the past. Bush would do this often in Iraq. And I think the message is, that is one of trying to express gratitude for the service, particularly at a time of the year that's especially difficult for service members to be away from their families.
There's a backdrop to this as well with Richard Spencer. He was canned as the Secretary of the Navy. A bit of an embarrassing episode, I guess we could safely say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's something that, in terms of Trump controversy, didn't rise to a super high level, but that's just because we see so much controversy out of this White House. But it is something that, raised some eyebrows when it occurred a few days back. And I think that in some ways, one of the benefits of this trip is it sort of resets the optics of Trump as a, considerate and commander-in-chief, someone that's looking out for the troops and someone that is, paying almost homage to the work that the service members do on a very important, national holiday. It's the optics of that are obviously very good for the president, especially after any kind of a rift that may have opened up with the military after the Spencer incident.
And on to our next story. President Trump signs the Hong Kong bill backing the protesters, angering China. What exactly does the bill say? And maybe more importantly, what's China's reaction so far?
Well, so the bill essentially puts under annual review Hong Kong's special trading status. And that, is something that did draw, as expected, a very kind of swift and firm response from Beijing. I think the concern, though, the top level concern is that perhaps this could throw a monkey wrench into efforts between the U.S. and China to finalize the first phase of some kind of a trade agreement. And so I think that is kind of the main concern that's out there. And I think that's something people are going to be watching very closely to see if that does materialize or if the negotiators are still able to work through that.
What's the reaction from the protesters themselves?
Well, there's been a very strong positive reaction from the protesters to Trump signing this legislation. There was a rally, just yesterday in Hong Kong, in support of the legislation. And so I think that, certainly China has all along really been accusing the U.S. of both overtly and, kind of under the radar, less explicitly fanning the flames of the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. And so I think that this, certainly makes that even more explicit.
And strap on your seatbelt, the intersection of UK and US politics. The Tories secretly fear Trump could wreck Johnson's election. Tell us more.
Yeah, so this, in some ways, for the Conservatives, who we've seen polls this week here in the UK that indicating that Boris Johnson and his Conservatives are on track to make a pretty big win in the December 12th election over here. Now enter Donald Trump, and he's a close ally of Boris Johnson's, but he's not very popular here, even in more conservative circles. He's not very popular in the UK, and so I think that the concern is that it's just a bit of an X factor, a very big X factor, with the NATO meeting occurring in the UK, and Trump and Boris Johnson, both of whom are big headline getters, potentially making some kind of waves ahead of the election that could turn things in the opposite direction for the Tories.
Kathleen, thanks very much. Appreciate it. You can read more about these stories on Bloomberg.com or the Bloomberg Terminal. And a reminder, you can follow all the latest on Bloomberg Radio in Washington. That's Bloomberg 99.1 at 105.7 FM. HD2. Nathan.
Okay, John, thank you. It is 6:55 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg Green Report. Here's Bob Moon.
Some people might see it as a few grains of rice in their dinner bowl, but add it all up globally, and it turns out rice farming could have the same detrimental effect on global warming in the short term as 1,200 average-sized coal power plants, according to the New York-based advocacy group, the Environmental Defense Fund. That means the grain is just as damaging over the long term as the annual carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuels in Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK combined. As the sheer size of the staple food's carbon footprint becomes clearer to scientists, companies including the maker of Uncle Ben's Rice and Olam International, the world's second biggest rice supplier, are starting to source more of the grain from farms that aren't flooded, a widespread cultivation technique that releases methane gas into the atmosphere. Rice is the staple food of hundreds of millions of Asians and by far the most polluting grain, emitting twice as much of the harmful gases as wheat. That's the Bloomberg Green Business Report. I'm Bob Moon.
All right, Bob, thank you. Just watching this red headline cross the Bloomberg terminal. Saudi Aramco's IPO subscriptions have reached a total of $44.3 billion. We'll continue following that for you throughout the day. As we head into this final trading day of November, the S&P 500 is up 2.8% on the month. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is higher by nearly 3%. Biggest winner on the Dow, Walt Disney, with shares up 16% for the month of November. Other leaders include United Health, Walgreens, Boeing, and Apple. Biggest loss on the Dow this month belongs to Home Depot. Shares down nearly 5% this month. The only other stocks on the index to post declines are Cisco Systems, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Verizon, and McDonald's. Bloomberg customers can see all the biggest risers and fallers by typing MRRGO on the terminal. Heading into this Black Friday shortened trading day, S&P futures are down 7 points. Dow futures down 55. NASDAQ futures lower by almost 22 points. 10 years up 1/32, the yield 1.76%, and the 2-year at 1.61%. Coming back from Thanksgiving, stock trading will end at 1 this afternoon, while the bond market will close at 2. Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Lisa Abramowitz. Up next for John Tucker, I'm Nathan Hager. This is Bloomberg.
We just got back from a beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. We dropped off our Christmas shopping at the hotel. Then it was off to be spellbound at the Theatre Royal Bath. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
eBay's Black Friday deals are here.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
An Oral-B Smart 5000 toothbrush that was £99 is now only $49.
Blimey, that's good.
Or a Google Home Hub that was £99 is now only 49 quid.
Stop it, that's amazing.
And with free delivery, it's never been easier. Shop Black Friday deals right now on eBay.
Get it!
Limited availability, T's and C's apply.
EasyJet fly to a wide range of ski destinations from London. So whether you want to go all out on a classic Alps experience or fancy something a little more low-key, it's smoother than ever, and you'll be there, well, you'll be there before you know it. Book now at easyjet.com.
Capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
American economic power and future depends on trade deals.
In many of these countries, we're still seeing people struggling.
Finance.
We're in this vortex of uncertainty. These big companies, they just sometimes lack focus.
Investment.
The markets have become a little bit too addicted to the Fed.
Timing the market is just so difficult.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrow on Bloomberg Radio.
From New York City for our audience worldwide. Good morning, good morning. This is Bloomberg Surveillance. Coming up on the program, little sign that support for Hong Kong protesters is derailing trade talks. Optimism rising, the worst is over for Europe. German unemployment unexpectedly dropping. And 2 retail economies in America where Target thrives and Macy's stock takes a dive. From the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio, hello Friday. Here is some Friday morning price action where equity futures declined 0.2% on the S&P 500, down almost 7 points, and on a 4-day winning streak coming into today's session. In the bond market, treasuries look a little something like this. Yields unchanged at 176 on a 10-year or 2-year note comes in a single basis point to 162. And in foreign exchange, just to give you a feel of G10 this morning, the dollar stronger against the euro. The euro coming in 0.1%. Alongside Lisa Abramowitz and Tom Keene, I'm Jonathan Farrow. Tom, an early close on a stock market, 1 p.m. and the bond market at 2 p.m. Eastern.
And there's some interesting features other than you mentioned 4 days up, 28,164 in the down. Look at the DXY index. Very quietly, there has been dollar strength in amongst all this. You mentioned German unemployment. Not as bad.
The data just a little bit better.
What does it do to I love this phrase, Lisa, fiscal space.
Well, it de-emphasizes it, right? The whole pressure on expanding the deficit does get reduced, although you are seeing...
Does it go away?
No. I mean, in Germany, it never really was there because they're not going to actually abandon their balanced budget.
We have a government satisfied with 0.1% GDP growth. And until you see a real hit to the labour market, and I mean a real hit to the labour market, the idea of the German government coming through with fiscal spending anytime soon, Lisa, I think it's unlikely.
That's basically a cultural shift that seems highly just anathema to the whole essence of the place, frankly.
Can we begin by saying happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners here in the United States? Great to be back with you on this Black Friday. Shopping season begins, Tom Keane, in a big way. Do you walk across the road to Bloomingdale's today and make some big-ticket item purchases?
Today is better than Thanksgiving.
Why is that?
Turkey salad sandwich.
Oh, nice.
Leftover
That's
day.
all that matters.
Yeah, I'm looking at Martha Stewart, and she's got a mixture of white and dark meat in her turkey salad, and she's talking mayonnaise, and, the usual. And then she gets a little carried away, Lisa. She's got the celery, the green apple. Martha's going complex on me.
Tom's not here. He's already at lunchtime, basically.
He's already at lunchtime?
He's already at lunchtime planning his
I think it's way before lunchtime.
So make it about stocks. Worst performing stock on the S&P 500 this year.
Don't know.
Macy's.
Well, here's the thing. I actually went to Macy's website just now, and I went to Walmart's website. You go to Macy's, there are boots, there are pajamas, things that people aren't buying as much of. You go to Walmart's, it's all tech, and that's what everyone is buying right now. I mean, that is sort of the Black Friday moment, and I think that dichotomy shows the diverging fates of these two companies.
Macy's down 48%. Do you know where Target is?
I saw that.
Target, the fifth best performing stock on the S&P 500 through 2019, Target up 90% and some.
And the message there, which is really interesting about corporate courage, is management got out front of all these challenges. They were early.
It's online, but it's also the diversity of products. And I think that this is important because when I look at Target's website, also all tech. And again, Macy's, all retail.
Did you survive Thanksgiving?
I got through it.
Did you get through it? I mean, what do you think? I mean, Farrell got through it.
I survive every year.
I mean, he's here.
He's here.
Yeah, we thought that he might not be.
You didn't think I'd turn up?
I mean,
we thought I'd take an extra day off.
Yeah, we weren't sure.
What do you take me for? I'm here every Friday. I believe, as a guest in your country, that I shouldn't compete with other members of our talent.
I feel like we should have
Friday off.
I feel like we should have
that if you want the day off, Tom, you should take the Friday after Thanksgiving
it's a tradition
off. I'm willing to give that to you.
We should have a soundtrack and a soapbox.
Yeah.
That was great.
You want to bring in our guest here and save the conversation?
He's sitting patiently by. It's Chris Rupke, Chief Financial Economist at MUFG Union Bank. Chris, great to see you.
Glad to be here.
We started the program with this two retail economies in America, extreme bifurcation in retail, where companies like Target do really, really well and companies like Macy's really, really struggle. Do you see a macro call anywhere in all of this on the consumer?
No, I shop at both companies, so I like them pretty much. Yeah, I was reviewing some of the data, and it is interesting that department store sales the last year, including toys and books and furniture and apparel, it's gone nowhere. It's unchanged year over year, October, where internet sales are up 14% the last year. So it's charging away, but I was impressed with one of your speakers, guests earlier, saying that a lot of these internet sales are driven by the websites of some of these, brick and mortar stores.
I have to wonder if this is an execution issue, front and center. I mean, Macy's just hasn't adjusted its mix of products and hasn't invested in its website.
Yeah, you said that. That was interesting. Yeah, I don't know how much people are buying. Electronics is not that. I know you said they are buying a lot. If I look at like retail sales data, actual electronic store sales aren't that great. But maybe
Radio Shack?
Well, I was trying to think, what is an electronic store anymore? Okay. I don't want to.
I mean, Chris, you're really good at parsing all this. What is working for the consumer right now? I mean, I get really mixed signals here on the state of the American consumer.
Well, they didn't buy a lot of cars and SUVs in October, but maybe that'll come back up. We're only selling 16.5 million annual rate. Should be more like 17. I don't know. Maybe this is just a bit of a lull. I mean, retail sales data is remarkably volatile, and it has been slow September, October. Maybe we're due for a burst November, December.
I'm going to get this chart out on Twitter, John. I call it the Steve Roach chart.
Radio. Love that.
It's a Steve Roach chart.
Love Steve Roach
Morgan
too.
Stanley. And Steve has been dead on the structural slowdown of American consumption. And the chart shows it over 50 years, clear as a bell.
You know what people are doing now? Have you ever been sent to UPS with something that looks like a cover for a pillow and basically a stuff full of clothes? It's called Rent the Runway. and basically you will get sent to UPS at some point in the next couple of months, Tom. This will happen to you. And you'll drop off this
Is this a story of your painful weekend?
I've been there. There is now this subscription service to a company called Rent the Runway, which many people are doing now. Tom, many women are doing.
Oh, really?
Many are doing. And they get to rent as many clothes they like. I think it's 4 items max at any given time. Then you get to return them. Then you order 4 more and you get them back. And it's a monthly fee. And H&M have started doing the same thing. We talked about it earlier this morning on Bloomberg Radio. They've started doing it in Sweden, a weekly fee to go and rent as many clothing items as you like. It's more sustainable. So the younger generation like it that way. There's more choice and there's a fixed price. And that subscription, that recurring revenue.
Ms. Abramowitz weigh in on
Is she going to bail us out?
What do you think?
No, well, the point here, the larger takeaway is, are people buying fewer items of clothing? Are the way that they clothe themselves changing in a way that Macy's is not keeping up with? I mean, is that sort of a fundamental structural
shift? I think the world
shift?
We've just described is the world they haven't kept up with in any way, shape or form.
Correct. But my point is, going forward, is this sort of a new model that's going to take off in a more dominant way? I mean, it is to some degree. It's still on the peripheries. But the point is, Macy's hasn't capitalized on this, and that raises the execution risk, right? I mean, that's the question to Tom's point. Is this a consumer strength issue, or is this some retailers just not keeping up?
Maybe we got to get rid of the old people. The baby.
Get rid of the old people.
The baby boom generation.
Where is this program?
No, listen.
Tom's looking around the room thinking, where are they?
No one in this room, but the baby boom generation is 55 to 73 years old right now. Okay, so they're not spending like they used to. 20 years ago, when consumption was so strong, what was a baby boom? They were like 35 to 53. Now they're aging. They have all the goods they need for now.
Chris, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think we can leave it there, Chris.
Final visit.
Joining us this morning. I'm not sure if Chris will be back.
Should we stay here? We didn't discuss it.
Union Bank.
Mr. Rupke does a brilliant sheet for MUFG linking interest rates into what central banks will do. Perchance. We'll get to that next time. Perchance.
Hey, Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
How do you like your turkey salad sandwich?
Get to the real issue.
We have leftovers a second day, sandwiches the third day.
Oh, very good. Strategic.
Yeah, this is a strategic turkey eating. Very good. Pumpkin or pecan?
I think we had one of each.
Oh, we have both. I saw him walking out the door this morning.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you. Your day ahead looks like this. 1 p.m. Eastern, the stock market will close early. 2 p.m. Eastern, the bond market will be shunning as well. No idea. I was actually saying to our producer, Colin, before the program started, now I might get in trouble for suggesting this. Why don't we close early on Thursday and take Friday off? Why don't we do that?
What bothers me, and I've been guilty of this, on the street, the suits and ties don't show up, and the staff has to. It's bipolar.
Do you know what I love it sometimes when you really get out there for the smaller guy?
No, I was about to say this is sort of populist Tom Keane this morning.
This is what his reputation is about. It's about the guy on Main Street. It's the smaller guy struggling. And I love that you do this, Tom.
I mean, email and tweet into Lisa, John, and I. This is really important. On Global Wall Street, the fancy people.
You want them to complain about their boss on Twitter to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll give them a shout out on live radio so that everybody knows.
No, we're -6 on futures. Dow futures at -49. The VIX elevates 0.64. We're out to 12.39 after that 11 handle a few days ago. Yields fractional. This is Bloomberg.
Let's get a check of the news. We've got our own Michael Barr here. Michael.
Lisa, Tom, John, thank you very much. President Trump is heading back to the U.S. after a surprise trip to Afghanistan for Thanksgiving to visit U.S. troops stationed there. Trump spent 3 hours with the troops on Thursday, serving them turkey and thanking them for their service. Trump also announced the U.S. and the Taliban have been engaged in peace talks and said he believes the Taliban want a ceasefire. Hong Kong police ended their blockade of a university campus today after surrounding it for 12 days to try to arrest anti-government protesters holed up inside. The holiday shopping season has arrived on this Black Friday. Almost every major retailer presenting huge discounts on popular gifts like electronics, toys, and appliances have crammed stores today. Global news, 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Jonathan.
Michael Barr, thank you very much, sir. Equity futures declining 0.2% on the S&P 500. We're down a little more than 5 points. From New York, for our audience worldwide, this is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Have you wanted
wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the...
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery's running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We hunt in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
What if your email let you see a project's entire history and not just the messages sent to you? What if everyone else on your team could see it as well? Then it wouldn't be email at all. Move communication from inboxes to channels in Slack. Instead of seeing a partial set of messages about a project, everyone in Slack sees exactly the same thing and moves work forward faster. Slack. Choose a better way to work. Get started at slack.com.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, exclusion.
Conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Yvonne Mann.
Actor and martial artist Juju Jang spoke to Bloomberg Live's Malika Kapoor about whether the success of films like Crazy Rich Asians and The Farewell has been a turning point for Asian artists.
Hollywood has had a pattern of having non-Asian people play the roles of Asian characters. And that's a pattern that seems pretty hard to break. How far are we from a time when it's a given that Asian people will play Asian characters?
It really go back to the producers and the casting people and the investors, because why they are having, Caucasian actors playing these roles are because of the star power. They believe these people can bring in the money, bring in the audience. That's why they will sacrifice casting some people who are actually ethnicity correct for the role, but they cast someone who is actually have a star power or name.
Correct. It's the bankability factor.
Yes. So after that, and actually producers right now are more careful. They will try to find people who are ethnicity correct for the role before reaching to like a star name. The best thing will definitely be getting a star name with the right ethnicity for the role.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. Bloomberg Daybreak out on customer terminals, bringing you all the news you need to start your day. Let's check the latest headlines with Hannah George at the Bloomberg Daybreak desk. Hannah, good morning.
Good morning, John. President Trump says talks with the Taliban have resumed during a surprise Thanksgiving trip to Afghanistan. He met with both the president of Afghanistan and US troops. Morgan Stanley has put on leave or fired 4 FX traders. Sources say the firm is probing alleged mismarking of trades linked to EM currencies that may have helped hide up to $140 million in losses. Black Friday is underway and the stakes are high, with fewer days than usual between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Adobe forecasts e-commerce sales of $7.5 billion today and $9.4 billion on Cyber Monday. And euro area inflation accelerated in November, offering some comfort for the ECB, but not a lot. The rate picked up to 1% from a 3-year low of 0.7% in October. For all the news you need to start your day, check out Daybreak on your mobile phone on the Bloomberg Anywhere app. John.
Bloomberg's Hannah George. Thanks, Hannah. And this on a day ahead of the cash open on Wall Street. Futures pointing to a lower open, this abbreviated trading day. Dow futures right now 52 points lower. S&P futures down 6. The Nasdaq E-mini futures down 21 points. Another day of dollar strength, about 8 days in a row right now. 10-year yield is at 176. And we have NYMEX crude. That was down 5 cents at 58.06. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes throughout the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. John, Tom.
Thanks so much. This is really important, of course, John, to get under the guidelines only gets 8,000 shares. You got 8,000 of Uber?
Are you signing me up for Saudi Aramco?
I was going to say, are you in line with the retail extravaganza known as Saudi Aramco?
I wish I had enough money. I heard a lot of the investor base.
What's the yield?
The yield.
Do we know yet?
We don't know the price of this thing yet. We can have an estimate of what the yield might be. 4-5% maybe.
Royal Dutch Shell yield.
Can I ask you a question? We're getting subscription numbers for the Saudi Aramco IPO. Do they matter? Because I know that in bond markets, the subscription numbers are completely manipulated to try to give an impression of incredible demand, and then things tank.
Padding out the order book.
Yeah, John, bring in the gentleman from London.
Thanks, Tom. I'll do that now. Bloomberg Executive Editor for Energy and Commodities, Stuart Wallace. Great to have you with us, Stuart. Let's talk about that book, shall we? Subscriptions reaching a total of $44.3 billion for the Aramco IPO. What does all that mean?
Yeah, good morning, John. I think as Lisa mentioned, the amount of times that people subscribe to this matters a lot, in the sense that obviously the more subscriptions they get, the higher they can push the valuation. It looks relatively weak, it has to be said. I mean, they have filled it in the sense that they are over a multiple of 1, but that's hardly impressive, and particularly when you look at it relative to other IPOs that have gone on in the kingdom, where we're talking about 20 times subscribed, 25 times
20 times subscribed?
Yeah,
so the equivalent of that would
smaller company though. So you do need that caveat in there.
Stuart, the thing is completely manipulated. At the end of our good story, by Will Kennedy. Excuse me, Will Kennedy knows what he's talking about. 1% earmarked for institutional investors. Translate that.
Right, so they're basically going to be selling or floating 1.5% of the company. So in effect, you've got 0.5% of the company is going to retail.
1/3 to retail, 2/3 to institutional.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a tiny free float is the gist of it. But of course, again, it's a tiny free float of a giant company. mean, even at the lower end of the valuation I've spoken about, it's $1.6 trillion.
I've never talked about this, John, but this makes like the issuance of Uber or Facebook seriously look like, sanitized SEC perfectitude. I mean, it's bizarre.
It gets even more bizarre when you think about who they're leaning on to buy the IPO, Stuart, because there are a lot of people that were locked up in the Ritz several years ago that are going to be lent on heavily to invest in this company, aren't they?
Yeah, and not just that, but also looking at the pure retail side of it. I mean, the banks in Saudi Arabia are offering something like double the normal leverage amounts you would get for an IPO. Similarly, they made sure that all the Saudi companies paid their workforce early this month so that there would be cash kicking around at the bank to subscribe to the IPO. I mean, they're really pulling out all the stops. And I'm told, although I have not been there recently myself, is that the adverts, the marketing for this IPO within the kingdom is off the charts. It's everywhere.
I'm struck by the fact that 4.9 million people applied for shares. The entire population of Saudi Arabia is under 33 million people. That means that 15% of the population, if that 4.9 million people is entirely within Saudi Arabia, 15% of the population made bids for this IPO.
Yes, but on the other hand, again, if you look at comparable examples, so for instance, Emaar Properties, you had 10 million Saudis subscribe to that IPO, roughly half the kingdom's adult population. So again, you have to look at it in relative terms. It's a giant number, but there have been more impressive numbers out there.
John brings up the sensitive issue of people that were housed in the Ritz-Carlton in Riyadh because they needed to do certain things to maintain their position in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I've been in that hotel. It's fancy, it's grandiose and all that. What exactly are they saying to those people that had a very tough couple weeks in that hotel?
Well, we obviously are not privy to those conversations, although I think the general feeling is that you probably didn't need to say very much. In other words, you didn't need to necessarily spell it out. It's pretty obvious from the coverage.
The roadshow will be at the Ritz, Stuart. Take the hit.
Actually, no, just as a little an anecdotal aside, I was in Dubai last week, and they had earlier this week, and they had their roadshow outside of Saudi Arabia in Dubai. Guess which hotel they picked for it?
Did they take the Ritz?
They did indeed.
Stuart, we'll leave it there. Stuart Wallace, Bloomberg Executive Editor for Energy and Commodities, joining us out of London. We shouldn't laugh about it because it is absolutely ridiculous. It's not funny.
On any different set of levels, but we have to say with the reporting of our Dubai team and in Riyadh as well, those were really tense and difficult weeks.
Although you do have to wonder how many of the billionaires within Saudi Arabia do tie their money to the oil reserves. I mean, this is a whole,
circuitous
kind of.
This is a bizarre wealth transfer. It's just bizarre.
It's a bizarre wealth transfer, but it shows how this is not an IPO like any IPO that actually is public.
I think we can all agree with that. We'll be talking about it a little bit later through the program. Also got to talk about how the politics of the Aramco IPO fold into the politics of an OPEC meeting just a couple of weeks away or so as well. In equity land, equity futures declined by 0.2%. From New York, this is Bloomberg Radio.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stock futures point to a move lower on this day after Thanksgiving. Retail will be in the spotlight on this Black Friday. Investors may have overdone it at Thanksgiving, but they're still hungry for evidence of progress on a U.S.-China trade deal. The next batch of American tariffs on Chinese goods is due to start December 15th. We do have Wall Street on track for a third straight month of gains, and the market is at record highs. As Black Friday kicks off the traditional holiday shopping season, there is a lot on the line for retailers. For a department store like Macy's or Kohl's, a third or more of annual revenue is captured in the fourth quarter of the year. Facebook and Instagram should be working again today after frustrating would-be selfie uploaders on Thanksgiving. Parent company Facebook said a software glitch put both sites out of commission. Hashtag Instagram down was the second most trending topic on Twitter worldwide, with complaints from users in several countries. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food in an ever-growing population, and how do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers. Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation they could have never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
Next. Nah. Nope. Boring. If you skip through loads of your TV channels, why are you paying loads of money for them? With TalkTalk TV and Faster Fibre, you can access the nation's favourite TV shows, a world of films and sport, live and on demand, all for £25.95 a month for 18 months. And if you're quick, you'll even get a year of Amazon Prime on us. Search TalkTalk TV. TalkTalk. For everyone. Offer ends 5th of December, subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye. Coffee shop, cashback, cat flaps, cashback, beanbags, rucksack, hire car, buy a car, flapjack, cashback, dumbbells, cashback, takeaway, holiday to anywhere the sun is at, bum bag, laptop, big match, hatchback, binge watching, paintballing, crab fishing, cashback, anything you want to buy, everywhere you want to go. Guess what? Cashback. Whatever you spend your money on, get money back every time with the American Express Platinum Cashback Everyday Credit Card. Search Amex Cashback. Representative 22.9% APR variable. Minimum annual spend to receive cashback. Terms apply. 18 plus subject to approval.
Better get it right. This ain't a game.
Black Friday deals are now on at Game. Discover huge savings on consoles, games, accessories and more. In-store and online at game.co.uk. Click and collect at your Westfield Game Store. Hurry, must end Monday the 2nd of December. Get it in-store. Get it online. Get it right with Game.
Better get it right. This ain't a game.
Search Game to find out more.
Going, gone.
Some things just don't hang around, like a great deal in Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Right now you can get the Samsung Galaxy S10 for just $29.99 a month, but this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Catch it before it's gone. Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £35.99, now £29.99. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
From New York City, this is Bloomberg Surveillance for our audience worldwide. We're live on Bloomberg Radio, 2 hours away from the opening bell. The news you need to know this hour. Global stocks declining in this final trading day of November after steep losses in Asia. Hong Kong leading the declines in the region with a 2% drop for the Hang Seng. Right now, S&P 500 futures a mild move lower, down by a little more than 0.1%. Elsewhere, more job cuts coming in the auto industry. Daimler planning to eliminate thousands of positions worldwide by the end of 2022 as part of a push to revive profit margins. Subscriptions for Saudi Aramco's IPO have surpassed $44 billion in total. Aramco says its offering has attracted nearly 5 million subscribers newspapers. And finally, it's Black Friday, the unofficial start to the holiday shopping season. Once again, though, more consumers are buying online. Adobe Analytics sees e-commerce sales reaching $7.5 billion today and $9.4 billion this coming Cyber Monday. Some of the stories we'll be talking about through the next couple of hours then right here on Bloomberg Radio. And now time for some headlines from around the world. Let's say good morning to Michael Barr. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Tom. President Trump's surprise announcement in Afghanistan yesterday that he has restarted peace talks with the Taliban has not been confirmed by the militants. Trump says the U.S. and the Taliban have been engaged in ongoing peace talks, and he thinks the Taliban want to make a deal. Trump abruptly broke off peace talks with the Taliban in September, canceling a secret meeting at Camp David after a bombing in Kabul that killed 12 people, including an American soldier. People don't celebrate Thanksgiving in France or Denmark or the Czech Republic, but they do shop on Black Friday. However, it is prompting a backlash from some European activists, politicians, and even consumers. Climate demonstrators around the world plan Black Friday protests. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Jonathan.
Michael Barr, thank you, sir. It's time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Report. Here is Rob Bushka.
Good morning, John. All three road teams picked up Thanksgiving Day wins. Two were in dominating fashion as the Buffalo Bills continue to represent the Empire State. They're now 9-3 after crushing the Cowboys in Dallas 26-15. Former Cowboy wideout Cole Beasley got some revenge. 6 receptions, 110 yards, and a score. The Bears took advantage of the Lions' third-string QB to hold on for a 24-20 win in Detroit. Chicago overcame a monstrous game from Kenny Golladay. 4 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. And when you think of the Saints, it's Drew Brees and company, but the man they call the Swiss Army knife showed his versatility in Atlanta. Taysom Hill blocked a punt, ran for a touchdown, caught another. New Orleans rolls 26-18 to become the first team to clinch a playoff spot. Hockey, the Devils scored 6 in Montreal to outlast the Canadiens. Rangers visit the Bruins at 1. NBA, the Nets host the Celtics tonight. Knicks entertain the Sixers. That's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. John?
Rob Bushka, thank you, sir. Rob there with the sports. You've had the news. Here's your price action this Friday morning. 4-day winning streak coming into Friday. Equities dropping by around about 0.2% on the S&P 500. No real drama here. We head for another month of gains. In fact, on course for the biggest monthly gain since June of 2019. November has been kind to the equity bulls. Elsewhere in the bond market, the curve's starting to steepen up just a little bit over the last couple of days. Your 2-year yield this morning unchanged at 162. 176 is your 10-year yield. And in foreign exchange, to give you a feel of G10, the dollar stronger against the bulk of the majors today, including the euro and sterling. Cable down 0.1%, the euro weaker by a little more than that. From New York, for our audience worldwide, this is Bloomberg Surveillance.
From our world headquarters in New York, we're all here on a Friday. You'd think one of us would be off, 2 of us would be off, 3 of us would be off. No, Lisa Abramowitz, John Farrell. We just decided we had to come in. We had to come in and do Black Friday because there's lots going on.
I came for the STEM report.
You did. Good.
That's why I'm here.
The Bloomberg NJIT STEM report brought to you by New Jersey Institute of Technology, transforming computing professionals into data scientists to meet demand in the fastest growing field. More at njit.edu/Jersey City. Here's Nathan Hager.
Good to be with the A-team this morning. Tom, Jonathan, Lisa, good morning. Here's what's making news in science, technology, engineering, and math. It is a discovery so big it shouldn't exist. Scientists at the Chinese Academy of Sciences say they have spotted a black hole about 15,000 light years from Earth with a mass 70 times that of the sun. Till now, astronomers have thought stellar black holes could be no bigger than 20 times the sun's size because the stars that form them shed most of their mass at explosions. Now these researchers write in the journal Nature that theorists are going to have to come up with some explanation for this one. One theory is it formed from the collapse of more than one star. Apple is being accused of insensitivity in its Maps smartphone app. The foreign minister of Ukraine, as well as the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, are raising the red flag over Russian versions of Apple Maps that show the Crimean Peninsula as part of Russia. Russia annexed the peninsula in 2014, sparking international sanctions. The more widely used Google Maps shows a dotted line between Ukraine and Crimea. Google uses dotted lines when national boundaries are in dispute. And used clothing has given Lithuania its first tech unicorn. Vinted, an online hand-me-down retailer based in Vilnius, has raised $140 million in a funding round that values that company at more than €1 billion. Silicon Valley's Lightspeed Venture Partners led the round along with 4 other funds. Vilnius ranks in the top 20 European tech hubs in Atomico's 2019 State of European Tech report. And Vinted's funding round will dramatically increase the amount of investment that it had estimated in Lithuania for this year. That is today's Bloomberg NJIT STEM report. I'm Nathan Hager. Tom, John, and Lisa.
And Nathan, thanks so much. 5 things you need to know to start your day. It's a Black Friday. We'll get to that here in a bit. It's sort of an up 5 things you need to know. Jobs in Germany up, John, and that goes to the whole fiscal space, and then fold it right in to what does Lagarde do in this important speech.
Unemployment coming in just a little bit, Tom, unexpectedly so as well. And the bad news for these stimulus balls out there is that for Germany right now, they seem to be satisfied with unemployment where it is and with growth where it is too. Even though here in the United States, look, let's face it, we wouldn't be satisfied with 0.1% GDP growth in America, but right now the German government seems to be, Lisa.
Well, it's curious to me because you are seeing the surprise index in Europe start to tick up. And the real question facing 2020, how much of this has already been priced in?
I want to rip up the script, Lisa, here. John, give us a window. You mentioned Andrew Mead, is it?
Andrew Neil.
Andrew Neil, excuse me. Give me a window into that we would not know in America.
Andrew Neil is a fantastic broadcaster for the BBC. He's one of the guys that you don't want to sit in front of and be interviewed by. He's that hard to be interviewed by.
Like
Jeremy Corbyn recently had an interview with Andrew Neil. The Labour Party reportedly did so believing that Boris Johnson would also have an interview with Andrew Neil the day after. Jeremy got completely ripped to pieces in the eyes of some people in this particular interview. And the hope that Boris Johnson would go next hasn't quite materialised. And there's a bit of controversy about Boris Johnson's media appearances over the last week. And it looks like the Conservative Party, and I stress it looks like because I'm not privy to these private conversations, it looks like they're running the risk of being called a chicken, but hoping that the downside of actually doing this is greater than just being called a chicken. Be called a chicken and not go in front of Andrew Neil is apparently the calculation.
Way different than us. Stocks up 28,164. We're on 3,200 watch for SPX. I mean, generally low volume up, right?
4 days of gains coming into today. The equity market doing okay. And I should stress as well, the president has signed this bill supporting Hong Kong protesters. All signs suggest that so far the Chinese aren't following through with any of these threats whatsoever. All signs so far, and I stress so far, that this hasn't derailed the trade talks, Lisa.
The key story to me, there's on the Bloomberg, China financial warning signs are flashing almost everywhere and talks about the weak growth and the reluctance of the Chinese government, of the PBOC, of stimulating it with the same types of bazookas that they've used in the past. This is the backdrop to perhaps why there isn't more of a strong reaction to the U.S. response to Hong Kong. They can't afford it right now.
Like there was when the Tots let the guy go. The Tots let the coach go, and now Arsenal's catching up. What is this? John, is it this time of year when all this happens?
Yeah, the difference is, though, that the Spurs fans quite like Pochettino, and the Arsenal fans really don't like him.
He came from Paris, right?
They do not like this guy.
Was he considered an outsider?
Arsenal fans are pretty happy that he's left the club. Who replaces him is going to be quite interesting. It would be very, very controversial if Pochettino had left the North London club, Tottenham Hotspurs, your Tots, and went across to another North London club.
Could that happen?
Arsenal. We've seen that happen with players in the past. And when players make that move, they get in a little bit of trouble with the fans. So it'll be interesting to see if he does that.
It's Black Friday, and I'm just looking at...
Get off the football. We know your strategy.
You guys had a full minute?
You want to talk about
full minute? Did you actually count how much we had talking about football?
You had 59 seconds, and so I think it is Black Friday. This is the event.
You want to talk about shopping?
I want to talk about shopping and sort of what the hot products are going to be, whether most of it's going to be online, whether anyone's going to wait in line. Tom, you're giving me an incredulous look.
What are the hot products?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. AirPods. Hulu.
AirPods.
That's interesting. Hulu, streaming services being offered on Black Friday.
Streaming service? That's un-American. That's not a thing. You don't shop for streaming services.
Evidently you do, and there actually are deals being offered.
Didn't you just do that, though, recently?
Yeah, for YouTube channel, right?
I slid back into it. I mean, I left and I came back. And
what brought you back? What brought you back?
I was thinking about it in the line at Glossier.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the line at Glossier today?
Hey, that line.
Like 4 blocks?
Are you going near that line today?
No, I will not be near that line.
That's why he's working today.
Stay with us. This is Bloomberg.
Imagine Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Why do hedge funds and other alternative managers rely on Pershing? Mark Alderati, a managing director at BNY Mellon's Pershing and head of Prime Services, explains.
In today's environment of market volatility, Pershing's Prime Services is well positioned to support the needs of hedge funds and other alternative investment managers. Whether it's customized financing or securities lending solutions, platform access, or business expansion, BNY Mellon's Pershing is a prime broker who's committed to this business and agile enough to meet your evolving demands. Pershing helps to solve the needs of clients by advocating for them, providing unwavering strength, deep supply, and award-winning service that is at the core of everything we do. Find out what sets Pershing's prime brokerage team apart.
Learn more about the unique and industry-leading solutions for hedge funds and other alternative managers offered by BNY Mellon's Pershing. Visit our website at Pershing.com. Pershing LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
EasyJet fly to a wide range of ski destinations from London. So whether you want to go all out on a classic Alps experience or fancy something a little more low-key, it's smoother than ever, and you'll be there, well, you'll be there before you know it. Book now at easyjet.com.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
Every day it's a little harder.
Disney's Frozen 2.
Anna,
Elsa,
Kristoff,
Sven. The worldwide phenomenon has returned, captivating critics everywhere.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.
With big laughs and even bigger songs. Disney's Frozen 2, in cinemas now.
I'll bring the snacks! Who's 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
President Trump is back on American soil. Air Force One touching down 30 minutes ago in West Palm Beach, Florida, after the president's surprise trip to Afghanistan. Before departing for the trip home, the president said the U.S. and the Taliban have resumed peace talks, and Barbara Starr is checking on that over at the Pentagon, noting progress may take a while.
The Taliban operate on a very long time frame. They can wait out their opponents without really having to worry about it.
In Afghanistan, President Trump served turkey to some troops and met with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. It's Black Friday, expected to once again be the largest shopping day of the holiday shopping season, even though the shopping season is 6 days shorter this year, and that's because Thanksgiving fell on the fourth Thursday in November, the latest possible date it could be. Wintry weather temporarily loosened its grip across much of the U.S. for Thanksgiving Day, but forecasters are warning of heavy snow and blizzard conditions in some areas as travelers return home over the weekend. It'll be a short day on Wall Street with pre-market trading showing a downward trend. I'm Michael Toscano.
Deals, courts, and world leaders.
When you served on the National Security Council staff, is this something people model?
It's all in Balance of Power with David Weston.
How bad an attack was this?
Weekdays at noon Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And at 7:47 on Wall Street, I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash on a day when the futures indicate a lower cash open on Wall Street, abbreviated trading session, so look for lower volumes today, this Friday. The Dow futures right now 48 points lower. The S&P futures right now they're down 6. The Nasdaq E-mini futures 21 points lower. On the Stocks Europe 600 index, you had declines in mining, construction shares. They were offset by increases in tech and travel shares. One of the major Asia benchmarks headed for its biggest one-day drop since September, led by a 2% fall in Hong Kong shares. And among the most actively traded in the pre-market this Black Friday, one of the retailers, Macy's, sits up right now, 0.6%. 10-year yield in the U.S., that was at 176. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom, John, Lisa.
John Tucker, thanks so much. The Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios. We say good morning to all. John Farrow, clairvoyant, as they say, out front on the British interview debate. There's news.
It's a little in the weeds, so let me go through it. The easier interview at the BBC would be Andrew Marr. The harder interview would be Andrew Neil. Mm-hmm. And the Conservative Prime Minister, the leader of the Conservatives, Boris Johnson, is trying to choose one between the other. And BBC sources, according to The Guardian, have refused the Conservatives' offer to put the Prime Minister on Andrew Marr this Sunday, well-watched Sunday morning programme, until he agrees a date for Andrew Neil. And I believe this should be the media strategy, because this happens many times. It's not a secret.
All over everywhere.
Company A, Company B wants Anchor C, Anchor D to interview them because they believe it'll be cosy and easy.
None of them want Abramowitz to interview.
They never want Lisa because it's going to be a harder interview.
It's going to be brutal.
And media companies, I think, should do.
Why aren't you making money?
So we're going to talk about Black Friday.
Okay, let's do that.
We can go to 1 Maple Avenue. 1 Maple Avenue, White Plains, New York. That's where he is. Bring him in.
Joe Feldman.
Joe Feldman.
He's been to Target already. Are you calling in from Target?
Yeah. Hey, guys. How are you?
So
I'm actually in Dick's Sporting Goods right now.
How does it look?
It looks good. The store is ready. They had a good night last night from what we could tell when we walked the store. Target this morning, same thing. They were kind of restocking and getting all the new doorbusters out there. And so far, traffic's been, a little lighter than we've seen in the past, but okay overall.
Do the people that love to shop Black Friday and proverbially line up, at 4 a.m. or whatever, do you just assume they're all shopping online as well, or is it two discrete communities?
I think it's both. I think there's those that love to shop are probably online and in the stores today. Now, those that love to shop may not be out first thing in the morning for the Black Friday deal because they got something online already, but I expect the day to be pretty good.
Joe Feldman is Telsey Senior Research Analyst and Assistant Director of Research, not just
I thought he was at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Who just hangs out at Dick's Sporting Goods on Friday morning at 7:50 a.m.
We don't introduce guests on this program. We just start talking and
we just talk to them. All our audience knows Joe.
There. Joe, I do want to get your sense. You've been covering Black Friday for years and years and years. There has been a shift, at least that we've seen in stock prices, away from some of the big department stores toward others that have more electronics and other goods. How much is this a broader shift away from retail toward the computers and the iPhone?
Well, I think the bigger shift is towards value is really what it is. What we've seen is, Walmart, Target, Costco, the off-price retailers like TJX and Ross have done quite well in this environment. And those are all offering value, brand names, differentiated merchandise, and they've done a very good job. And I think they're taking market share from the department stores. And it is because of the broad assortment, but it is, like I keep saying, value is really what's the driver here.
See it in the stock market too, Joe. Target up by more than 90% in 2019. One of the top performers on the S&P 500. The worst performer on the index this year, Macy's, down 48%. Any reason to believe, Joe, that this trend changes over the next 12 months?
We don't think it does, unfortunately for Macy's. We think Target continues to operate really well and continues to gain market share.
Joe, I saw one sell-side report that had the courage to go out 3, even 4 years, a light extrapolation of Amazon's juggernaut. They get them out to near $500 billion of sales, 2023-24, and that's in the cloud and all that as well. Do you just extrapolate Amazon, and are you able to extrapolate out Walmart and Target as successful platforms?
We do. We go out pretty far as well in our financial models, and we see Amazon continuing to gobble up market share and get as big as you just described, which is basically where Walmart's at today. Now, Walmart is clearly not growing at quite the same rate, but we do expect Walmart to continue to capture market share from weaker players. Target as well. Yeah. Target won't be as big, but...
Well, this is important. I'm thinking of Michael Mabussi, the great thinker on digital networking and all that. If Amazon grows, do they grow at the expense of select underperforming brick and mortar, or do they take it from everybody, including the successful brick and mortar?
I think Amazon has done a very good job taking it from those weaker players out there. I think the stronger retailers like the Walmarts and Targets have found a way to fight back, to leverage their store bases as a strength as opposed to a weakness. And so we see the share gain coming from, again, those weaker players out there, much more so than the Walmarts of the world.
Joe, every so often I get sent to UPS with a little black bag full of clothes, and it says something about Rent the Runway. And then I started to inquire about what it was.
I know. I was about to say we're back to Rent the Runway.
Every month, more and more people are paying this monthly subscription to a company like Rent the Runway and getting unlimited clothing, and then they send back the clothes once they've worn them, and they get some more, Joe.
You're as upset about this as you're about AC Milan.
Look, as you are about Glossier.
I'm happy to cap the spending in retail at a certain monthly subscription. I'm happy about that. Let's talk about it, Joe. Is that the future of clothing, and is that why some of these stores are struggling?
Yes, in a nutshell. We do see that rental as being a big growth driver in the future and really taking market share. That's another area that's taken market share from department stores. You know, we continue to hear more and more people using Rent the Runway, and some people out there using it in place of buying a new dress or outfit. Absolutely.
So you went last night to GameStop, Five Below, Best Buy, Target. These are all places that have online presences, big ones. Why would anyone go to a store, especially at like 6 a.m?
Yeah, I think there are people out there that they still like the touch and feel. There are people that are debating between one item over another or one brand over another. They want to have the interaction with the store associate. They also want the immediacy of it, you know, just to go in and buy it and have it.
Joe, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I'm going to let you go because I don't even know what Five Below is. I had never heard of Five Below. But Joe Feldman, Dana Telsey. It's a discount store.
It's $5 and below. You should know this when you stop at Motel 6 and you're doing some extra shopping.
Right. Do you think anyone listening actually believes that?
Okay, special guest right now on this Friday. Of course, it's always a special Friday worldwide, and we need to bring in, we rate our guests at a very high level here, and bringing us in here, we're going to start out with a careful look at the movies of the season, is Zeke Abramowitz. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us this hour.
Smartest guy in the Abramowitz household.
Good to have you here.
I've got a younger son, too.
Good to have you here with Aunt Lisa. It's great to have you here. I got to go right to it right now. Frozen 2, thumb up or thumb down?
Thumb down. Frozen 2, The first one I didn't like. The second one doesn't sound good. They put it in 4D, and 4D is just a complete riff-off.
Yeah, it's a complete. I agree with you. I mean, IMAXs I can barely go to, but 4D, I just, I can't do it. John, you want to talk to him about a phone because we got to sell a phone.
Well, I just wanted to know what the hot products of the year were because Lisa doesn't know, and I imagine Zeke does. So Zeke, let's talk about it. What does a kid want at Christmas this year? What are we looking for ahead of the holiday season?
So this year, the iPhone 11 and the AirPods Pro, like everyone wants them. I don't even know why. Like they're just really expensive. I feel like in school, everyone's in a race to get them first. So it's not even about Christmas.
You're kidding.
No, like everyone is just like trying to get their presents for Christmas beforehand.
Are you kidding?
But like the colors, I mean, there's the pale one, the light green one is very popular at the Keene household. The light yellow, then there's like the manly white and black. And
what are we talking about?
The colors of the iPhone 11. Catch up, Lisa.
No, but he's talking about the pods for your ears.
No, those are the white pods of the ears. Yeah. They want the phone or they want the pods?
They want both.
Oh, have they got the phone already? Do most of your friends have an iPhone? Is that the phone of choice?
Yes.
They already have an iPhone. And how old are you, Zeke?
10.
10-year-olds with iPhones.
Sure.
And now they want the EarPods. And the EarPods are how much? $250?
Well, the AirPod Pros are going to be like $300.
Yeah, do you leave them on the floor like Lego pieces?
No, that would be absolutely unacceptable in the Abramowitz household.
I got to talk to you about, going back to school. Do you have homework this week? Like you got some homework into the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, what on?
Everything.
Everything really
Yeah.
Your teachers loaded the boat over Thanksgiving weekend on homework?
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend is one of the biggest times to give homework.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is superb.
We did 2 blocks. We're 2 blocks with it.
Colin, you're killing it so much, kid, that we're going to keep you for the next block because Michael Barr is still recovering from the Detroit Lions. Zeke Abramowitz, Aunt Lisa, thank you so much for bringing Zeke today.
Greatly, Aunt Lisa, I like that.
Appreciate
He's going to call his mum Aunt Lisa now.
Well, it works,
I'm going to
wait till he's 12. He won't even show up. Yeah, whatever, Mom. Just what I needed. Futures -5, down futures -41. Lots to look back for in 2019. Rick Ocasek, this is Bloomberg.
This is We just got back from a beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Next, we donned our skates for Bath on Ice. I'm a natural. Didn't have to hold on to anything. Or anyone. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
I don't think you called this a duck pond back then.
I think she called it the sea.
The sea?
Something like that. Only it was bigger.
Bigger?
Yeah. Ocean. This was Letty's ocean. A modern myth from the brilliant imagination of Neil Gaiman. The perfect alternative Christmas show, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, plays at the National Theatre from the 3rd of December. Visit nationaltheatre.org.uk for tickets.
EasyJet fly to a wide range of ski destinations from London. So whether you want to go all out on a classic Alps experience or fancy something a little more low-key, it's smoother than ever and you'll be there, well, you'll be there before you know it. Book now at easyjet.com.
When Harlequins take on Leicester Tigers, it's always a big game. But this year, it's the big game. Hosted at Twickenham, you can expect fireworks on the field and off it. Pre-kick-off, enjoy music, entertainment and a truly incredible atmosphere. Then watch 2 Gallagher Premiership rugby giants go head-to-head. Tickets from just £17 children, £27 adults. Go to tickets.quins.co.uk or search Big Game 12. Kick-off 4:30pm, Saturday 28th of December, Twickenham Stadium.
From the financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The good news is the economy is strong. The bad news is the economy is strong.
Financial crises take a really long time to recover from.
Finance.
The strong job market's pulling people back in.
You can't have for very long, monetary union without a fiscal union.
Investment.
What we preach is extreme diversification. It's hard to have sustained productivity without capital investment.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrow on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. It is that Friday, Black Friday. Thank you so much for being with us. We had we were all going to take the day off, and Lisa said, nah, I don't think so. So instead, ecumenical, we're all here. John Farrow, Tom Keene, Lisa Bramwitz. Thanks for being with us. We're fired up for a nice day into the weekend, the celebration of Thanksgiving yesterday. We welcome all of you in Boston, in Plymouth, Massachusetts. We welcome you as well. In New York, Bloomberg 1130, 99.1 FM Washington. In San Francisco, what do they do for Thanksgiving in San Francisco, Lisa?
Tofurkey.
Tofurkey,
yeah,
I think.
What's that?
Tofu turkey.
Oh.
With shots of Fernet. They do shots of Fernet.
How do you feel about that, John?
I don't know what I feel about that. What's it taste like?
It tastes like tofurkey. I don't know. All right. We are dealing with a day of the end of the quarter, actually. End of the month.
And there's some news flow, actually.
If you want, I'm happy to go.
No,
just get it done.
And there's some news flow today as well, out of Germany, out of England, and of course the tech data transaction with Apollo, where they lifted up off the Berkshire Hathaway offer is well. So lots going on. Bloomberg Surveillance, as always. We thank Cohn Resnick for their support this morning. Futures at -5, Dow futures -43. Brought to you by Cohn Resnick. Planning a transaction, turn your tax strategy into a competitive advantage. To learn how, visit Cohn Resnick's Capital Markets Tax Resource Center at cohnresnick.com/tax insight. COHNREZNICK. cohnresnick.com/tax insight. Mike Bell's a good guy to talk to, John Farrow, right now.
He joins us from JP Morgan Asset Management, global market strategist, joining us out of London, I believe. Mike, great to have you with us. Some data out of Europe, the unemployment numbers in Germany are unexpectedly improving. A belief, Mike, held by some, not by everyone, but a belief held by some that maybe we've seen the worst of it. We have bottomed out in Europe. What do you say back to that, Mike?
I think that what you're seeing at the moment is that the data, say for the employment component of the manufacturing PMI, is picking up a little bit, but it's picking up from very bad to just less bad. So it's still indicating contraction and the risk of job cuts, but just at a slower pace than it was last month. So the German employment data today showing that jobs were actually added is positive news. But then when you look at the headlines over the last couple of weeks and even today, and some of the large automakers cutting significant amounts of jobs, I think there is still a risk to the outlook for German manufacturing employment, and then the potential that spills across into the service sector. We look, for example, at vacancies in Germany, job openings, if you like, and year on year they've now started to decline. So I think the risks are still present, even though we've got some good data out this morning.
Mike, less bad has been enough for a lot of people to make Europe their primary call, European equities for 2020. Do you think that this trade's gotten ahead of itself?
I think potentially. I think it's premature to say with any degree of certainty that we are going to see enough of a reacceleration in the data to put the risks to bed and say that we're out of the woods just yet. I would want to see the German manufacturing employment PMI getting up above 50 so that we've got clarity that we're not going to see more job cuts coming through in the manufacturing sector, and then that potentially hurting consumption and the service sector, because you see German consumer confidence has been weakening. So it's certainly, I think, too early to say with any strong degree of confidence that things are definitely going to pick up from here.
Mike, it's been a really difficult year because this year you could have got the macro call right and the market call wrong. If you called for weaker growth out of Europe, guess what? You got it. If you called for an equity market that didn't perform, guess what? You didn't. The equity market in Germany, the equity benchmark in Frankfurt, the DAX, up by almost 26% through 2019. So, Mike, as we go into 2020, convince me that we can get the macro call right and the market call right as well.
I think that's a great point. I mean, it's been a very difficult year for investors, as you say. If they'd betted on a growth slowdown, the market would have punished them despite the growth slowdown coming through. I think, though, that divergence between what the market's doing and what the fundamental data is doing can only last so long. From here, we need to see the data pick up and a proper reacceleration and avoidance of job cuts. Otherwise, I think the gap between the fundamentals and the equity markets might close.
Has anyone in your small shop actually figured out how much cash is out there? Have you guys added up all the private equity cash, all the cash in institutional global Wall Street? How much cash is sloshing around?
I'd struggle to give you a number, but I think it's relatively high. I think you do see elevated levels of cash at the moment. So if we do get a turning point in the data, if it does become clearer that things are not just getting worse at a slower pace, but actually improving, then I think there is money on the sidelines that would come back in. If you look at flows into European equities, for example, they spent most of the last year coming out, and then you've seen tentative signs of some money going back in. I think there's certainly money that could be put to work and that could push equities higher if we get a clearer sign that the data's turning. I just think it's a little early to say with confidence that that's definitely going to happen.
Money on the sidelines, it's not just sitting in big bags, sitting on the sidelines under Tom Keene's chair. It's in bonds. It's in short-term instruments. If money comes out, then where is it coming out of? In other words, what asset loses the most?
Yeah, I mean, if you see a reacceleration in growth from here and we get a clear sign that things are getting better, the leading economic indicators pick up from here in a way which they're not really doing at the moment. But if that were to happen, then I think you would see government bond yields move higher. I think the extent to which they would move higher would be limited by the fact that you've still got very supportive central bank policies, particularly in Europe with ongoing QE. But nevertheless, I think you would see bond yields move higher on a sort of reflation and growth trade, and equities move higher as well.
I'm glad you bring that up, because the last paragraph of your recent note, you do talk about that. Once again, inflation. I mean, that's one of the great misses this year is the disinflation. You know, some people got that right, and we say good morning to all of them. But how do you know when inflation turns? Can you predict that, or do you have to wait for it to happen?
Yeah, I mean, there are various things that we monitor, but looking at the inflation picture in Europe at the moment, you're not seeing any clear sign that you're going to get a meaningful pickup in inflation. So it's more of a tail risk that if healthy labour markets lead to a pickup in service inflation, that could start to feed through into a bit of a pickup in inflation. But at the moment, it's certainly not the base case.
Mike Bell, thank you so much for J.P. Morgan this morning. I want to point out Siemens, John. I just picked it randomly as a big industrial type. 130 down to under 90, a big drop over 2 years, and then they've done a real leg up going from 90 up to 117. So you are getting that out front equity play in Europe from a reduced level, to say the least.
I just want to go back to something that we were discussing during this interview, and I think it's really important as we approach a brand new year. Just a year where you can get the market call really wrong, but the broader macro call really right. And I think that's what's been so tough about 2019. The belief that the global economy will slow down. If you called that, well done. That's what you got. But if you try to express that in the equity market, it's been really tough. The DAX is up 26%. I think the benefit, though, this year is that 2019 has turned out to be one of the best years in the US for a balanced portfolio, 60-40.
Yeah, I saw that.
I believe going all the way back to 1998. And it follows a year where 2018 was one of the worst years for that strategy in this bull market. So you've got to get your head around a whole range of issues going into a fresh year, whether those kind of things repeat themselves or not.
Let's say this, and to the two of you, which follow bonds a lot more than I do, the theme of the Q4 to me is we've extended out lower for longer. All of a sudden, the visibility on lower for longer is a lot longer than it was 8 months ago or 16 months ago.
Which raises the question of how much ammunition do central banks still have? If rates just stay where they are, does that actually continue to stimulate the markets the way that it has, right? And you've seen the U.S. back off.
And if you imply, as you mentioned earlier, the Chinese data, if you impute disinflation and weak foreign economic growth into the U.S., How does that change?
It's not just China, and there was actually a headline this morning. India's economic growth went to 4.5%. That's the weakest since 2013.
Wow,
so not only do you have China, the world's second biggest economy, slowing materially, you're also seeing India, another powerhouse of emerging growth, also weakening. Where is it going to come from? That is my question.
Bloomberg Real Yield, 1 p.m., I believe
1:30 p.m. today.
Guess who's anchoring it?
Well, you're at Glossier in line.
Bloomberg's Lisa Bravitz, 1:30 p.m., Bloomberg TV.
A lot to talk about.
It is a lot to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're going to be talking about the yield curve. People thinking it's going to steepen. It really hasn't, though. It's gone back.
I'll watch it on repeat this weekend.
It is. It's on repeat. We do
guest hosting the program, Lisa Bravitz. Looking forward to it, Lisa.
If Glossier is longer than 2 blocks, I wouldn't stand in line.
I imagine it will be 2 blocks.
Nah, go up to Brandy Melville and stand in line there.
Do you have to go on a shopping trip?
Oh, I did a circuit. Yes, I did a circuit. I can't wait to talk
his exercise regimen.
Sarah Halseck or the others of these select retail winners with lines out the door.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. I mean, to behold it. Futures at -6 this Black Friday. This is Bloomberg.
Let's get a check on the news. Michael Barr here. Michael.
Lisa, Tom, John. President Donald Trump is back in the U.S. after his Thanksgiving Day visit to Afghanistan. Air Force One landed in Florida, where the president is spending the holiday weekend. President Trump left Bagram Airfield after several hours with U.S. troops and a brief meeting with Afghanistan's president. President Trump said the U.S. and the Taliban have been engaged in peace talks, and he thinks the Taliban want to make a deal that would end America's longest war. A 2-week standoff between protesters and police at a college campus in Hong Kong is finally over. Protesters have glad words for the U.S., but that sentiment is not shared by the Chinese government. Beijing is furious. The American ambassador was summoned with China, saying it strongly protests threatening countermeasures. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Tom?
Michael, excuse me. Blue button. It's my first day.
You've got it.
I was reaching for the turkey salad. Detroit Lions. It's not gray. It's silver.
I'm sorry you found the button.
The
uniform. Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients, and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
The lifeblood of tech startups isn't just money. It's executive and technical skills. The kind of skills that companies need to build real products. And the skills that venture capitalist Chris Sugden of Edison Partners sees in the graduates that are coming out of New Jersey Institute of Technology.
The amazing thing about NJIT is their graduates, they have multiple offers on average, not just one. They're coming out with real skill sets that are immediately hireable and available to them. I think we see an understanding by the faculty and administration at NJIT that we've got to train and educate the whole student, not just their, one side of their brain. And I do think that's sort of part of the DNA today. There's practical and there's sort of academia, and merging those two together and understanding that if we're going to have our young people go get great jobs and have great successful careers, they've got to have both sides of their brain activated. And I think we see that with NJIT.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small.
only by American Express.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Ever feel bogged down by your business accounts? Say goodbye to that mountain of receipts and hello to simple solutions from Sage. We're the UK's #1 for managing finance, operations, and people, and we can support you to free up your future with smarter bookkeeping that automates repetitive tasks, dramatically reducing the time you spend typing in data. Join over 1 million British businesses who trust Sage to make it simple. Find out more at sage.com/automate.
From Bloomberg Television, here's Taylor Briggs.
Splunk is the world's first data-to-everything platform. Its software collects machine data and provides insight into businesses worldwide. Joining us for an exclusive interview, it is Splunk President and CEO, Doug Merritt. I wanted to talk about this new pricing model, the volume-based and then booking the revenue annually instead of on a multi-year basis. Both of those analysts love today. Why the change?
One of the biggest issues we've had with Splunk is you get so much value out of the platform, and it's a data volume-based product that people get scared on how much volume is going to go through. And we've heard for years that the lack of predictability is something they'd want to have a better option around. And so we came out with 2 pricing metrics a month and change ago that were one's an enhancement, one is new. The enhancement for data volume contracts is we've tiered the pricing and really condensed the tiers into much broader bands with an unlimited option at the upper end of that pricing curve. The alternative, which is probably more fundamentally appropriate long term, is just the amount of infrastructure that you need to operate the product. We rolled both out because the way that you use the product could make one more advantageous for a customer versus the other.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And it's 8:17 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm John Tucker. Let's head over right now to the First Word breaking news desk for today's morning call with Tatiana Dare.
Good morning, John. U.S. futures are lower this morning as markets resume after the Thanksgiving holiday. Dow futures down 57, S&P's down 5, while the Nasdaq down 20. The U.S. 10-year yield at 1.77%. Asian markets fell overnight with Hong Kong dropping 2%, and European stocks are little changed with Germany rallying after some better than expected data. Back in the U.S., nothing on the economic front today. In other news, China has warned of retaliation after President Trump has signed the Hong Kong bill after the markets closed on Wednesday. And in the IPO space, bids for Saudi Aramco's IPO from institutional and retail investors have reached $44 billion so far, exceeding the amount the government wants to raise. In deal news, Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade have agreed to pay a $950 fee if the merger agreement is terminated. And wrapping things up, Deere's price target was cut at UBS after earnings, and Dollar Tree was downgraded to neutral at Atlantic Equities. Live from the First and Breaking News Desk, I'm Tatiana Daria. John.
Tatiana, thanks a lot. Again, the Dow futures down 54, S&P futures down 5, NASDAQ E-mini futures 21 points lower. And to hear live breaking news over your Bloomberg type squawk in your terminal, we check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day. I'm John Tucker. Now back to Tom, John, and Lisa.
John, thanks so much. From the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios in New York, John Farrow, Tom Keene, and Lisa Abramowitz. John, every Thanksgiving I try to feature one person out of our 19,000 employees, and this year it was a layup. John Authors has been on fire. You know, he's publishing like every 3 or 4 days, and you can cherry pick any given 4 essays.
Is this an official award?
It's an official award. It's a turkey award.
What does John get? What does John win?
I don't get something.
Turkey salad sandwich.
Turkey salad sandwich, yeah. But he's just been on fire, whether it's on the earnings idiocy or that. John, why don't you bring him in on his new essay here on the whole ESG vote? We're very ESG this morning.
Can we start with the reasons we should be thankful, which is his most recent piece, which I think might be more interesting. John Authors, Bloomberg opinion columnist. Investors have plenty of reasons to give thanks. Let's go to the 2019 edition of Reasons to be Thankful. John, where do we begin?
Well, the main reason to be thankful this year, apart from my reason to be thankful that everybody's being so nice to me at Bloomberg, the main reason to be thankful, obviously, is that the market has gone up an awful lot. So if you're in stocks, you did very well. And a lot of that is through factors that we're not going to see repeated very easily. You've seen populist politicians misplay their hands quite badly around the world. I think that's an important one. Inflation stays within the box, and you've seen American consumer confidence stay remarkably high, given however many other things are happening.
Yeah.
And yes, carry on.
Well, no, but John, Jonathan Farrow was talking about this earlier, how we've seen people get the call for the economy right. They got markets wrong. They were not expecting the rally that delivered 25% if you just stuck your money in an index and put your feet up, as you put it. Is this all due to central bank easing?
It's mostly due to central bank easing, yes. People were not expecting. The reason we had the main reason we had the big sell-off going into Christmas Eve last year was the belief that J. Powell was going to go through with being, reducing the balance sheet, the Fed balance sheet, on autopilot, to use his own term, and keep raising rates. The fact that he stopped doing that and then actually went into a very major U-turn is the main reason we've seen the recovery that we've seen. And the fact that there was this sell-off obviously makes the markets look much better than they would do if you looked at a basis other than a year-to-date basis. We're so used to thinking in terms of a calendar that the stock market is not rallying in the way that you would normally think of a 25% rise. It's because of this rather arbitrary timing of the sell-off last year.
John, one of the things we have to be thankful for is you wrote an essay on the earnings, what I call the earnings idiocy, how we're complete drug and fixated on every 90 days. How did the earnings madness do this year? Did we get revenue growth right? Did we get earnings growth right, just as an industry?
Broadly speaking, yes, but it doesn't. Again, it doesn't seem to matter very, very greatly. That what we've had in this year so far has been a succession of really very unimpressive earnings data, but that hasn't stopped the stock market from doing what it's doing. If you want to play the game of have we beaten expectations or not, I made the argument that we should be junking both. We should certainly be junking earnings guidance by companies completely, because this becomes part of the distraction of. We all know about this, of setting barriers for yourself so you can beat them.
Right.
But in broad terms, no, we're not seeing anything like the kind of. The kind of strength in earnings that you would normally expect to have results going like this. Earnings momentum is very weak globally, and it's pretty flat here in the States.
John, thank you so much. John Authors, Bloomberg Opinion. Coming up after the first of the new year, we'll talk to John Authors about recession is edging closer past the tequila. That'll be one of the things we will.
That's what we're going to do in the new year.
Yeah, we're already scheduling that out with Authors. Past the tequila. You know.
By the way, there already are a slew of other turkey awards, so you have to come up with a different name. I'm just putting it out there.
There are a large number of turkey awards.
Yeah, but usually when you win the turkey award, it means you haven't performed well.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yeah, Golf's 2019 Turkey Awards honoring the most unfortunate
Tom's twist is that if you do well,
you get the turkey.
You get the turkey award.
Can I give you the main
this
turkey
is a
award?
really original concept, Lisa. That I think
you want a positive up turkey award? Jerome Schneider, PIMCO, was the one who introduced me to Greenberg's of Tyler, Texas. Smoked turkey.
Did you get one?
2.
I thought you were going to Benoit's yesterday.
Yeah, didn't you
did you
go
cook
out?
yesterday? You went out and you cooked.
Yeah, we did both. And they're there. I just get them for the turkey salad sandwich.
You really like the turkey salad sandwich.
It's like it's more important than Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, way better. Yeah. I like what Chris Rupke said. It's turkey and then the next day's leftovers.
Are we still friends with Chris Rupke?
I think we are. We'll have to see. Futures at -6, down futures at -56. It is Black Friday. Shop careful. Lisa Bramowitz, John Farrow, and Tom King. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. On this Black Friday, the stock market starts out at a record high, but we could be headed for a bit of a lower open with the futures slipping this morning. U.S. retail stocks are regaining their footing just as the all-important holiday shopping season gets underway. The S&P 500 Retailing Index capped its 4th straight day of gains on Wednesday, a rally that has seen that index erase its losses for the month and bring its year-to-date advance to 24%. You found an item you like online, you read the reviews, and they're stellar, so you move to check out. But wait, some of those reviews on websites are fake. And now the Wall Street Journal reports that the Federal Trade Commission is pressing retailers to crack down on the phony endorsements. FakeSpot, which identifies those phony posts, estimates that more than a third of online reviews at major sites like Walmart, Amazon, and Sephora are not legit. The Journal says those retailers dispute the numbers, but are nonetheless working to make sure the reviews are authentic. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked breads to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Dell's biggest Black Friday ever is on. Save up to £700 on Windows 10 laptops and desktops, plus up to 50% off across our award-winning monitors, all with free delivery. Call 0800 085 4878 to talk to a Dell advisor today. That's 0800 085 4878. Or visit dell.co.uk/SB deals for details on the best offers in Dell's biggest Black Friday ever. Limited time online offer. Hurry while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Owning your own business doesn't automatically make you an accounting expert. So it's good to know that when you choose to manage your money with Sage, you don't just get great business management at your fingertips. You get great local support too. Anytime, anywhere. Simple solutions from Sage. Trusted by over 1 million British businesses to manage finances, operations, and people. Find out more at sage.com/automate.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
From New York City, this is Bloomberg Surveillance for our audience worldwide. We're live on Bloomberg Radio, your economic indicators through the week, brought to you by Economic Indicators, brought to you by Commonwealth Financial Network. For the 6th straight time, JD Power ranks Commonwealth #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms. Visit Commonwealth.com to learn more. That's Commonwealth.com to learn more. Your economic data, we're light on the data front here in the United States.
Monday.
Out of China, before we even get to Monday, this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, we get some data out of China. So look out for that. Into Monday, Tom, as you point out, the ISMs for manufacturing, employment, prices paid, and new orders too. Look out for all of that. And then, Tom, we're in December from next week. And we kick things off on Payrolls Friday with the Payrolls Report.
And enough of a mystery where I would suggest next week is really important for shaping up those sub 2% calculations on GDP.
The Payrolls Report.
I'm just trying to guess what Michael McKee would say.
The corner. We can ask Lara Rain what she would say. She joins us now, FS Investments Chief US Economist. Lara, the data next week. Walk us through it. What will you be looking for?
Well, clearly the big number is payrolls and the business investment. Tom's absolutely right. A lot of us are now starting to look ahead to next year. What are we thinking for GDP? Business investment, your assumption there is critical. And for me, I'm a little more pessimistic than most people.
I look, Laura, at the pessimism out there and the mix of things. What's the variable within the economics that makes for a pessimistic call and optimistic call? Is it guessing the consumption, which is a huge part of the economy, or is it really understanding the mystery of business investment?
I think for business investment, to the consumer, to me, and consumer spending is all about jobs. Trade wars hit businesses. It means that they delay these big capital investment plans and strategies. So they're going to keep, buying new computers, the sort of shorter term investment that they need to do. It's the really long run spending that they delay. But the trade wars don't hit the consumer really. It's more that's where
I got some.
I think we've got a technical problem there, Lara.
Technical problem.
Hopefully we can try and re-establish that connection. If not, thank you very much for joining us. That's Lara Rain, FS Investments Chief US Economist on the data ahead. Your data ahead, the calendar looks like this. The ISM's coming out on Monday, December 2nd. Then Payrolls Friday. Just around the corner as well, Tom.
Let's do an investment 101 here, John Farrow. These are diffusion indexes. 50 is the center tendency, and the PhDs can go, well, no, it's actually 50.2 or it's 49.7, but the answer is 50 tendency, and I'm looking on the Bloomberg screen, and there's nothing over 50 except the manufacturing PMI.
We've spent a little bit of life on the ISMs below 50. The big call is whether it bleeds into the services sector. This is manufacturing. Will it bleed into services? Will the weakness leak elsewhere? So far, so good for the U.S. economy.
That Chris Rupke brilliantly brought up, I believe, off the mic this morning, is auto sales. You see Daimler in Germany with the layoffs and Audi with the layoffs. The Ward's total vehicle sales, which we see December 3rd-ish, is still a popping number.
We've got to be clear, though, on the layoffs coming out of Germany. Is there a macro call there? Yes, definitely, certainly. Over in China, there's been some real weakness that has really hit some of the big auto manufacturers through 2019. But for the German manufacturers specifically, they have had to really ramp up investments into the electric vehicles.
They're doing electric before we are? Is that the basic presumption?
Well, the fact of the matter is they spent so much time focusing on diesel, and then there was a big scandal, and they've had to up the investment on the electric side, which meant profits have taken a hit, which has meant they've had to chase themselves on a cost side by cutting jobs. So 2 big punches to the German auto sector over the last, year or so.
Yeah. Non-farm payrolls survey, and this is a little early. This number will move around as we get out to December 6th. 190,000. That's nicely up from the shock and awe of 128 last time around. There's a lot more numbers. I still am not used to the unemployment rate where it is.
With a 3 handle?
I could tell you as a fossil, John, I'm just not, that's like Eisenhower. I mean, I'm just not. What's the unemployment rate like in Germany?
5%.
Yeah. One thing that I find interesting is you're hearing an increasing tone out of Federal Reserve officials, that they want to see more people come off the sidelines. In other words, they want to run the economy hotter to sort of equalize the gap between rich and poor. This is a new tone from them, and you're seeing this from Minneapolis.
Neil Kashkari had that this
really
weekend.
talking about that, saying it's a new mandate from the Fed. And if that's the case,
what's their mandate? To decide who gets hired?
Well, that's a good question, right? Because we are seeing more of a question in their discussions, in their research about the gap between wealthy and poor. It just is an interesting shift that you're seeing in the Fed.
I agree. It's a shift led by Chairman Powell, and at an important conference I know they had in Chicago, I'm going to say 6 months ago now, with President Evans of Chicago, and they've made a big splash for that, but I really don't know how it fits into the monetary analysis.
It means they're more willing to keep rates lower for longer. That's what it means. It all fits into the same thesis.
But do we have inflation up yet?
No.
I don't think so. I look at five-year floors. I showed that chart twice last week. And, John, in Europe, it's stunning. I mean, it just ain't there. I mean, there's no other way to put it. England, maybe.
ECB meeting just around the corner.
In Lagarde's speech, when, John? Like 10
She will deliver that news conference.
12th?
December 12th.
The day of the election.
The day after the Federal Reserve goes.
You and I will have team coverage of that.
Of the ECB decision, we will. You and I will be there. Looking forward to it.
Are we in Frankfurt or in London that day?
We'll be in London that day. Unless you want me to move things around. I mean, we can do this live on air, or we can do this off air and discuss things with...
oh, no, I think we should do it on air.
We can do that on air.
Evidently.
By all means.
I will say, just on the point, the five-year forward break-even rates, I think on that, it is interesting. It's 1.7% in the U.S. That still is pretty close to the Fed's target rate. It's not that low. Yeah. Why isn't that good enough?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Surveillance correction.
Here we go.
Jim.
You've only got 10 seconds
Michael Barr grew up. I only need 10 seconds.
Enough time to get a correction in.
Tom, you idiot. It's Honolulu blue and silver, not blue and gray. Detroit Lions correction.
We like anyone that refers to him as a, what was that? What did he call you? He called you a...
Lost in translation.
Oh, okay. Here's Michael Barr with the news from New York City.
John, Lisa, Tom, thank you very much. The bad scramble between Thanksgiving and Christmas just got 6 days shorter. Black Friday once again kicks off the start of the holiday shopping season, but with 6 fewer days than last year, it will be the shortest season since 2013 because Thanksgiving fell on the 4th Thursday in November, and that is the latest possible date it could be. That means customers will have less time to shop. After surprising American troops in Afghanistan for Thanksgiving, President Donald Trump is back in the U.S. for an extended holiday weekend at his resort in Florida. President Trump made his first visit to the site of America's longest war on Thursday, where he served turkey to U.S. troops, spoke to Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, and also announced that the U.S. and Taliban have been engaging in peace talks. China has reacted furiously after President Trump signed 2 bills aimed at supporting human rights in Hong Kong. China says the implementation of the bills will undermine cooperation in important areas like trade. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Tom.
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Report. Here's Rob Bushka.
Good morning, Tom. The road teams made it a perfect 3-0 on Thanksgiving as Buffalo props up the state with their 9-3 record thanks to quarterback Josh Allen as they beat Dallas 26-15.
Those are usually tough, but we stuck to what we liked, putting some game plan stuff for their defense, and our guys went out there and executed. And to ask that from them on a short week, they did a phenomenal job. From route running to concepts that we put in, to blocking schemes, and like I said, I credit all those guys too.
Former Dallas wide receiver Cole Beasley came up big with 110 yards on 6 grabs and a touchdown. Dallas still leads the NFC East at 6-6. Chicago held off Detroit and their third-string quarterback in a 24-20 win and a resurgence for quarterback Mitch Trubisky.
Here's the snap. Trubisky fakes the toss, lobs it up for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Chicago. Jesper Horsted with a fingertip catch. What a throw by Trubisky.
Trubisky finished with 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Bears are also 6-6. You know who's not 6-6? The Saints, after beating the Falcons 26-18, becoming the first team to clinch a playoff spot. Their coach, Sean Payton.
Whirlwind of a game. Proud of how we finished. Made it a little bit more difficult than it should have been. And yet, our guys battled and hung in there. Defensively, I thought we played outstanding.
New Orleans is 10-2 thanks to Taysom Hill, who ran for a touchdown, caught another, and even blocked a punt. NHL, the Devils beat the Habs north of the border 6-4. Rangers dropped the puck in Boston at 1 o'clock. Hoops, New York hosts Philadelphia. Brooklyn entertains Boston. That's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. Tom?
You're up. Thanks so much. Michael Barr with us. Bloomberg Business of Sports. Michigan, Penn State, 28-21. Ohio State, Penn State, 28-17. That says a sort of a close game.
Yes.
Compare and contrast.
And then we got something big up coming up this weekend, too, as you know.
What would that be?
Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, I know. Michigan, Ohio State. What do you think?
I think Ohio State, they're too dominant.
Do they get the same ratings as, like, NFL and all that?
That game, yes.
That game will be that big. Yes. Okay, Michael Barr, Business of Sports. Stay with it. This is Bloomberg Futures at -6.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista, who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Thank you. If you've already got one of the 13 million smart meters installed across Britain, we'd just like to say thank you. Our electricity needs are predicted to double by 2050, so we have to upgrade our outdated energy system. Just by having a smart meter in your home, you'll be helping the system to better anticipate demand and reduce waste. So we just like to say thank you for getting the smart meter. From the Campaign for a Smarter Britain.
Work of news and financial information 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
President Trump is back in the United States after his Thanksgiving Day visit to Afghanistan. Trump said the U.S. and the Taliban have been engaged in peace talks that could end America's longest war. Just as inclement weather had engulfed many pre-Thanksgiving Day travelers, now more storms face folks heading back to their original destination. Meteorologist Chad Myers on areas of the Northeast.
Tomorrow would be a good day to try to make some new plans as you work your way into Sunday. It's going to keep snowing. This is going to snow all the way through Monday afternoon. And New England, all the models agree, somewhere between 6 and 12 inches of snow.
Shoppers are expected to shell out more this Black Friday compared to last year.
The National Retail Federation says in spite of the shortened shopping season, spending is expected to be up over last year, about 4% on average.
There's correspondent Jim Roop. Tomorrow is the day dubbed Small Business Saturday. I'm John Trout.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker, the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. An abbreviated trading day, 1 o'clock close for the NYSE. So I would expect a volume to be pretty light today. U.S. equity futures right now, they indicate a lower cash open later this morning. Dow futures, they're down 44 points. That's down about 0.2%. S&P futures, 4 points lower. That's down 1/10. The NASDAQ E-mini futures, 19 points lower. That is down 0.2% right now. Now, overseas, the stocks Europe 600 index, that declined. You had mining, construction shares offsetting increases in tech and personal products. And one of the Asia benchmarks, a major Asia benchmark, headed for its biggest one-day drop since August. You had a 2% fall in Hong Kong shares. As we look at the dollar right now, about an eighth day of rises for the DXY index. The 10-year yield, that was at 176. And NYMEX crude, 6 cents lower. Right now, 58.05 a barrel. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trade day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker, and that is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom, John, Lisa.
Yeah, John, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. On this Friday, again, truncated trading into 2 p.m. Futures -5, Dow futures and -45. Lisa Bramowitz and Tom Keene, thank you for being with us this morning. Lisa, the men got to get dressed up, don't they?
Yeah, I love this title, Trying to Get Boys to Dress Like Men, that our next guest helped to author. Joseph Aboud joining us here. And I got to say, this is really an interesting question, which is what do people wear to work? And Tom Keene, I know you're going to mention what I wear to work.
Well, there's, Lisa's like a lot of people. There's different looks depending on the day as well. But what's the trend right now? Are we getting all fancy or are we still cash?
Yeah. It's interesting, Lisa, guys are getting dressed again. And it depends on where you work and, what your occupation is. If you're dressing for radio, it's one thing. If you're dressing for TV, it's another. Right? But I love to see that Tom is sporting his double-breasted sport coat. And it's nice to see that people do that.
Joseph Aboud, fashion designer and chief creative director of Tailored Brands. Right. You make your products in the United States.
Our tailored suits, yes.
And you do make tailored suits. How is that industry changing where you actually have a custom-made product? Mm-hmm. Are people gravitating more to that?
Yeah, it's the whole customization thing is really interesting because it's more about your own personality. So it used to be that custom suits were only for the elite, and now it's much more democratic. So we produce a great number of suits in our Massachusetts factory where we have over 800 employees, and we've been doing that for over 30 years.
I say good morning to Boston, 106.1 FM with Joseph Aboud as well. You've got a sport coat up here. Lisa says, Tom, you got to squeeze into this one. And it is 100% cashmere, the fabric woven in Italy.
That's right.
It is $1,495 for a sport coat, which gets you, into it, but it looks like it's out of Louis. I mean, how do you pull off that price point out of the Louis that you and I knew on Newbury Street years ago?
And that was such an iconic store, Lisa. It was a great, great menswear store that carried the best of the product. But because we're vertical, Tom, the fact that we buy our own fabrics and we don't have the traditional wholesale retail margin, we're able to bring a much better value to the customer.
And what's simple here is I'm seeing on your website, Joseph Aboud, I'm seeing a more upscale look. Is that what the audience wants right now?
Yeah, I think individuality, I think style, as I said to you before, men are the new women. They really want to get dressed. It's
not going to go over. I will say, men are the new women. Does Black Friday matter in your line of work?
I think it does, yeah. I think not necessarily for custom suits, perhaps, but for all the accessories. For example, the great gift is a cashmere sweater. To me, that's a great piece of a man's wardrobe, and that's something that you can get as a gift, or a great cashmere scarf. So Black Friday matters probably more with the accessories and the sportswear.
The new women, I'm thinking in the female area, Instagram influencers really have become the hot thing. And I'm wondering, for men, if it is the same thing, what type of individuals are the main influencers here driving this?
I think they're fashion guys. I think there's a lot of them have been editors in the past, and now they're talking style, and they're talking to the millennial. The millennial really understands where fashion's going, and I love the fact that that's a new buying group for us. That young consumer is getting dressed, and the young guy is wearing suits because he wants to, not because he has to.
Okay, but what about the younger, I'm going to call it broadly, conservative guy? They don't want cutting-edge Gucci. They don't want this. They don't want that. Somebody that says, look, I really don't want to spend money on this, and they're going to go into Joseph Aboud for a reasonable coin to get a lot better look.
Right.
How's that with a millennial?
Well, I think that's true. If you think a lot of the younger guys who have stepped into the financial world, they want style, but they don't want aggressive fashion. That's a really great point, because they still will wear something conservative, yet at the same time they'll like their cuts to be slimmer and trimmer and more to their generation. So we have to speak to them on their terms.
Lisa, do you see me in a black turtleneck?
Oh, definitely.
Don't you think you could pull that off?
Yeah, 100%. Would you have one?
I woke up today and I said, oh my God, Aboud's with us, so I got a style. So this is a gift from the Dunhill people of London.
They do a great job.
And I wore this for you today because it's that flare thing. That's
I love the black watch tartan.
You like that?
Yeah, John has a style. I mean, Tom has a style.
Both have style.
And John has got our English moment.
When we say men are the new women, with the women, you're seeing an increasing move toward the yoga pants and away from work. I mean, I'm just wondering, I know you specialize in the menswear, but are we seeing a reversal here?
It could be. It really could be.
Heard it here first. Bloomberg surveillance.
That could be. I think we see women changing their style, but we also see that happening with men.
Can I talk about something sensitive?
Of course.
Why in God's name are people like you and others, and you've provided leadership on this, I'm setting you up, for tall clothes. Extra long.
Big and tall.
Tall, big, not so much big and tall, but just, there's a huge body of men out there, nothing fits.
That's right. A lot of American men, that's correct. That's why custom, Tom, custom is so important for those guys. And now that it's more affordable, we can fit all body types.
So, and you did just have a partnership with the NFL, right?
Yes, exactly.
And does this sort of play to that a little bit?
Well, it does. We've done these great stylized linings and individual linings that you could put into your custom clothing. But some of my best customers are not 40 regulars. They're bigger guys.
Yeah,
and
I've always
had the good fortune of understanding how American men are built and how to dress them. Because, as I said, not every guy is a runway model.
Yeah. What fabrics are hot?
Moi?
Well, for the fall season, cashmere's become more affordable, I think. Tom, to your point, great cashmere jacket. Cashmere, because the natural fibers still are important. Cashmere, camel hair. But we are seeing a lot of performance fabrics now. So that within suits, there's stretch and there's but it's still nothing more beautiful than an all wool or a great cashmere.
You're moving the burgundy floral modern fit vest for $325. Are vests back?
Yeah, think about men have so few options really in their wardrobe that vests are a great category. They can wear them with or without their jackets. And it just gives, again, another level of individuality. So, do
you want to make those tall and help me here?
We can certainly do that.
You got the size thing going, but I'm fascinated. Steve Sadov was in the Giant of Saks Fifth Avenue the other day.
Yeah, Steve,
same question I said to Steve. I said, it's like women in 0 and 00 in that, going the other way with men.
Well, the vanity sizing thing is always an interesting thing. Guys kind of fall into that trap a little bit, but when you do get into custom, you don't have to worry about that.
Who's your biggest competitor at this point?
I think when we talk about competition, we look at everyone, really. I think everybody is fighting for the same guy.
Yeah, but increasingly, if you talk to Macy's, you'll hear that Target and Walmart have actually emerged as competitors in a way that they hadn't before.
It's so interesting that you said that. I mean, we really look at the sort of the psychographics of the guy and the price value.
Psychographics of the guy.
Yeah.
I was in a band in high school called Psychographics.
No, so really to understand what a guy really wants, not so much about
what do they really want.
What I think what guys really want is their own personal style, and I love that about them. And it's it's not. I think the greatest myth is that men shop price. They don't. They shop product for the best price, and that's the price value proposition. So to me, it isn't so much of what a guy can spend, it's what he thinks he should pay for something of value. So value is really the game, not price, but value.
You're killing it today with the look. We'll get that out on radio. The black turtle. I got to consider the black turtle.
You could carry it off.
I think you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's slimming.
And I did have the good fortune of visiting the building, the Bloomberg building in London,
Queen Victoria Street. Yes.
Oh my God!
We do okay
from a design point of view. An amazing feat.
Yeah.
I just learned what a guy wants: individual style. That's it. Here, I mean, this is hardcore wisdom.
Well, you women can help us guys. Let's put it that way. Oh yeah, so? Women play such an important role.
Joseph Abboud, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated employing in New Bedford, Massachusetts, American made, Joseph Abboud, and you can go to their website and check it out. It's a really different website from so much of retail today. Futures -6 down, futures -52. Black Friday. Go shopping. Don't leave without.
Cold Friday afternoons like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, you. Come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Wandsworth. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords. for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
At Argos, Black Friday is on with more deals added, plus other hot products and so much more, including top brands like Lego, PlayStation, LG and Shark. Go online to shop our full range of Black Friday deals. With Argos, you're good to go. Black Friday ends the 3rd of December, subject to availability while stocks last.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
Every day it's a little harder.
Disney's Frozen 2.
Anna,
Elsa,
Kristoff,
Sven. The worldwide phenomenon has returned, captivating critics everywhere.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.
With big laughs and even bigger songs. Disney's Frozen 2, in cinemas now.
I'll bring the snacks!
Capital of the 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The Federal Reserve's independence is crucial.
Central banks should be prepared and not presumptuous.
Finance.
In order to grow, you need to innovate.
Global money doesn't like uncertainty.
Investment.
I think the issue in the market is really more about the possibility of a recession in the next couple of years.
I do think we need to get back to where we have always been, the American dream.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. Mr. Sweeney off today, recovering. He'll probably have the same turkey salad I'm having. His will be fancier. It'll be like Martha Stewart. Celery, cucumbers, apples, raisins.
White bread. For him?
Yeah.
Totally. He goes classic.
I'm going to go more basic. Well, that's what we're doing on a Friday. Wonderful to have Joseph Abood just in with us. To all of you up in Massachusetts, the institution that he's become in New Bedford, really a key employer in New Bedford. We say good morning, 106.1 FM Boston, 99.1 FM in Washington. The president back. He popped over to Kabul. Lisa, the president jaunting to Afghanistan and back. Some real danger there.
And
secretive about it.
And serving the troops and talking about policy at a time when he's actually advocated pulling troops back from the region.
Yeah, 90 days ago.
So an interesting timing also amid some of the concerns, the turmoil in the armed forces that has recently been publicized. So trying to, boost morale and cheer on this holiday.
The president, no doubt, with a day of rest. Maybe he'll go out and I can see the president, out and rest in Virginia, some mall.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's doing Black Friday.
Yes, I could see it. Futures -6, Dow futures -55. It's like, is it the slowest trading day of the year? I think it is.
I think
would guess it takes
it does not
Christmas
feel like a very active day. People still on the tryptophan.
We are here active. I want to talk about one thing before we bring in our esteemed guests, and that was the German unemployment numbers were not as grim as expected. And Lisa, I do think, as they're working over their full days, it really changes the European debate, at least until we get the next grim data, which we did not get today.
Mike Bell of JP Morgan Asset Management with a smart comment. It does look better, but it's not as bad. That's what we're moving to. And so the question is, when do we transfer to good? When do we transfer to we can cheer about this versus what we've seen? And this is something that is important, especially as people buy European stocks ahead of 2020 with forecasts that will be a sector that outperforms.
Good. We bring in our very important guest. This is without question the interview of the day.
I'm not guest, I'm family.
Like I said, it's like Thanksgiving. We'll try to get through this.
The aunt that they hope leaves early. Oh, no.
And Carol's with us here. Carol Masser, of course, doing Bloomberg Business Week. Good chasing, Kelly. And you brought the fruitcake 4 weeks early.
That one fruitcake that goes around the worst.
It's got the 2018 label on it.
Or the foot problem. Yeah. Tell us about the foot problem for the next 3 hours.
I like they were with you this weekend.
We all have one. We all have one.
Carol Masser with a list of things that have a very, very strong Bloomberg Business Week. I know Lisa wants to go other directions. I'm going to talk about travel, which is with the weather. And this came up actually. One of the offspring said, "Is it cheaper to go to Washington on Amtrak or the plane?" And we talked about that.
Oh yeah.
But you have an update of Amtrak in Business Week this week.
Devin Leonard has the update. He's a great reporter, and he wrote this story. He actually got on Amtrak, but it's not just the Northeast Corridor that we're also familiar with between Boston, New York, and Washington, which is the profitable part of Amtrak. And
it better be at what they're charging.
Right. But what's interesting is there's almost 22,000 kind of miles and routes around the country that are part of Amtrak. And Devin actually went on what's called the Crescent Line. And what's interesting is what makes it difficult is most of these trains don't get to their destinations on time. They're often late because Amtrak doesn't own the railways, which they do on the Northeast Corridor, which means that other, industrial routes and so on and so forth can kind of make the consumer passage trips kind of wait while the other trains pass by. It's like kind of a crazy business model.
I loved this story.
I did too.
He went around asking people, why the heck are you taking this? Since it's always late. It's 2 hours, 3 hours, who knows what late. And there are people
like it.
Well, people are train aficionados. People get knee surgery and need to move around occasionally.
Exactly.
I mean, there's all of this kind of, but excuses. That's not a mainstay of a business model.
It's not a mainstay of a business model. And keep in mind that it gets about $2 billion in subsidies from the U.S. government that kind of keeps it going.
B as in billion?
B as in billions. So a lot of money. And so they brought in the former head of Delta. He's trying to figure out how to make it work. Legendary. And he's trying to think about how do you maybe have some part trains, part buses for people to get to destinations. Because right now, if you want to get the train, I think it's in Cleveland, you get it at midnight. Like there's just weird timing to all of it. It doesn't make sense. He's not necessarily trying to get rid of all of it.
I will say,
really?
when I took a train once from the northern part of Chile to Potosí in Bolivia, and it was a midnight train. It was a midnight train on Wednesdays, ran once a week.
And that you liked, I bet, right?
Leave it on a mid-train to Santiago.
Let's talk about
Gladys Knight.
All right, let's talk about Warby Parker. The fact that Warby Parker, this is another story, and they're known for their glasses. And how are they going to stylize contacts?
Well, this is going to be a lot more difficult, but this is what they want to go into. I know. I'm just...
Thank you. I sort of had a delayed reaction.
Sorry. I'm thinking about what I have to cover.
Please. No, I love it. Carry on.
They're eyeing another business.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Try the veal. So anyway, they are already ubiquitous when it comes to glasses, and they have created this incredible retail market that so many other retailers, whether it's luggage, whether it's, razors and shaving and so on and so forth, have duplicated. So now they're thinking, okay, we need another revenue stream. So they're looking at contacts. It's a little bit more complicated, right? Because they're bringing optometrists also on staff so that you can actually get eye checks. But, there's a lot more to this. But their two co-founders are thinking that, they need to kind of tap into another line and figure like this is an easy extension to what they're doing. You're got a crinkled brow.
Yeah, I've got a crinkled brow. I'm just trying to understand a company that focuses on design, trying to get into something that you literally cannot see. That is the entire purpose of it. I'm just trying to see the crossover appeal.
Well, I just think that they know the eye market. They've already got, a customer base. This is another larger customer base, and they're thinking, why can't you get this stuff online? I think it's more complicated. I think most people looking in are thinking the same thing. But
how's the foot? No, I'm kidding.
You got another story let's try to save this. You got another story that leads back to global Wall Street, which is where Barclays fits in.
Okay.
And this is a huge deal, and there's some analogs in America as well.
I have to say, this story, and this is a serious one, Max Abelson and our team over in London did some really serious reporting, and this is, Barclays has been in the headlines a lot about its financial troubles, trying to get stuff on track. This is about a doctor who was basically kind of freelance, hired by the bank, who would... teenagers who essentially were going to be hired for kind of low-level positions at the bank would have to get a physical. And unfortunately, there was abuse. and involved. And so now it comes down to, who's responsible for years and years this was going on. Who's responsible? Now former, Barclays employees have come forward to talk about it. Who's responsible? Is it Barclays? Because he wasn't technically a real employee of the bank. Disturbing story.
Is this in London or in New York?
This was in London.
This is in London.
This was in London that this was going on.
One aspect of the story that was so disturbing to me is that people didn't come forward. People who are adults now didn't come forward until they heard there was an investigation because they tried to dismiss what had happened to them as simply perhaps something idiosyncratic or something that didn't happen to other people or that somehow wasn't as terrible as it actually was. And now are coming forward to say,
story we've heard over and over again, especially when it's a younger generation or it's teenagers. And they talk about implications for the gig economy. Jason and I talked about that because you have all these companies, whether it's an Uber or Lyft, are they technically employees or not of the company? But this also to us spoke to, is this Wall Street, again, another question about Wall Street responsibility and potentially getting away with something again. I'm just going to put that out there. Can we just go to Pursuits? Can we talk about Pursuits?
Quick.
Okay. Pursuits, it's all about travel also. But one of our reporters, he doesn't go undercover, but he takes on jobs. He's worked at Nobu. He worked at LAX. It's one of the world's busiest airports. Wait, don't create, but he went through security. He talks about working through, people coming through and being attached.
I love it.
They had birds attached to them because they were part of a singing bird contest and they were trying to hide them through. They talk about a guy, they opened up a suitcase and I think it was a piece of fish and it had all these larvae or something attached to it, and they all came out, and the passenger started eating them.
You're doing this while I'm working on my turkey sandwich over here.
It's crazy stuff that people try to sneak through security. I know.
Michael Barr's
saying,
what the Sam Hill did I walk in?
They opened up a can of Pringles, and a snake comes out. It is nutty stuff. You have to read it.
Carol Masters, thank you so much. Bloomberg Business Week with Jason Kelly. Looking forward to this. Hear that, see that on Bloomberg as well. Futures -5 down. Futures at -54. The yield market, a little bit of green on the screen, higher yields, but it's got that Friday feel. We can tell as we look at equities, bonds, currencies, commodities, the way it pulses on the Bloomberg, sort of the kind of moment it is, and it's a Friday moment here with dollar strength. Yen 109.63 actually backs up meaningfully here. Euro under a 110. This is Bloomberg.
Now let's get the news. We've got our own Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, Tom. On this busy Black Friday shopping day, most consumers admit that they have taken time at work to open their browser and shop. According to new research from the advertising exchange OpenX and the Harris poll, 69% of the 2,000 consumers surveyed, not me of course, admit to shopping at work. The percentage jumps to 81% when you look only at millennials. Still no word yet on when more than 60,000 people can return to their homes because of a major fire at a Texas petrochemical plant. The fire started Wednesday. In sports, in the NFL Thanksgiving buffet, the Saints beat the Falcons in the late game 26-18. The Bills down the Cowboys, and the Bears came from behind. Some. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Tom.
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Carol Master talking up Amtrak. The midnight train to wherever is now maybe 2 hours late. Gladys, this is Bloomberg.
I know you will. On that midnight train to Georgia. Leaving on that midnight train to Georgia.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food in an ever-growing population, and how do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers. Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation they could have never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically, yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at seic.com/c.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Lidl, we're big on getting in the Christmas spirit with our award-winning 8-year-old Queen Margot blended Scotch whisky for just $12.99 and our award-winning range of Hortus Artisan gins and gin liqueurs from only $9.99. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Social conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Taylor Riggs.
Predicting the weather is always a challenge, no matter where you are in the world. To get ahead, one company is turning to supercomputers. I spoke to the CEO of The Weather Company. It's a subsidiary of IBM. Cameron Clayton told me that the new tech will give faster, more precise forecasts, and for the first time, it will cover the entire planet.
We've just launched IBM Graph, which is a global high-resolution weather model, the first of its kind in the world. And we built it because we've sort of seen this meteorological divide. The rest of the world doesn't have the same quality weather forecasting we enjoy here in the United States. And so at IBM and the Weather Company, we've been working for the last 2.5 years to build this new global weather model.
What are you hoping to achieve with it? Are you really looking at forecasting to help save lives? I mean, what really is the end goal?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you know, we do come back to saving lives, and that's sort of the mission our team has. But when we look at weather and the volatility of weather increasing around the world, we also see that it's disproportionately impacting the poorer countries and the poorer people in the world versus the richer nations.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app. Or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. Bloomberg Futures Report is being brought to you by Innovalon, a leading provider of cloud-based platforms empowering data-driven healthcare for insurance companies, physicians, pharmacy, and pharmaceutical companies. Innovalon. Data has a story to tell. Innovalon does give it
of voice. And just ahead of the cash open on Wall Street, an abbreviated session today. NYSE closes at 1 o'clock. Bond market closes at 2 o'clock. We have futures indicating a lower open. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures right now 55 points lower. That is down 0.2%. S&P futures, they're down 5. That's down 0.2. And the Nasdaq E-mini futures 22 points lower, and that is down about 0.3%. Some of the most actively traded stocks in the pre-market, at least, including some of the retailers. We are looking at Macy's right now. That was up earlier. Right now, it is dead flat, but about 125,000 shares trading in the pre-market. And we're looking at dollar strength continuing. Right now, the yen, 109.64. Down about 0.1%. The euro, 109. That is down 0.2% against the greenback. And the 10-year Treasury yield, 177. The price was down by 2.30 seconds. NYMEX crude, 77 cents lower, 57.34 a barrel. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day. Right here on Bloomberg Radio, I'm John Tucker, and that is your Bloomberg Business Flash Time.
John Tucker, thanks so much. The Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios, and we say good morning to you. This is the conversational day for those of you in investment banking and mergers, acquisitions, combinations, and transactions. Colin Whitmer is with PwC, their U.S. deals leader, and he joins us now. Colin, how much money is out there chasing a limited number of opportunities?
Well, good morning, Lisa and Tom. Happy Black Friday to you both. It's a very good question because as we think about what could be coming, and I'm sort of done trying to pick when the next recession will come, but it will be a recession that is not marked by illiquidity. If you step back and just look at how much dry powder is out there, both from a corporate and PE perspective, I mean, you got over $2.2 trillion of cash available on non-financial corporate balance sheets, and you look at private equity, they have north of $2 trillion as well. So
the big companies get all the things. I want to get away from the mega deals, and I want to talk about the bread and butter of what PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC does nationwide. Are people trying to affect transactions with a lower internal rate of return or a lower calculation of what they'll make 3, 5, and 7 years out?
Yeah, if you think about companies now, they've all embraced this sort of the idea of disruption and the fact that they need to change their business models, and the best antidote to do that is M&A. I think sitting on your hands is something that all of our clients now are not really willing to do. And yeah, you look at deals, almost every deal feels like a tech deal now, right? You look at it, and they want a cross-sector. Tech is the largest sector for deals now, and it's also the largest cross-sector. So, yeah, companies are looking at it, 3, 5, 7 years out, but they're also looking at it as they need to change their business model, and they need to do it now.
Part of the charm of PwC is not only your consulting side, and of course with you as head of U.S. deals, but also the accounting heritage of the firm as well. How do you respond when you see an announcement or you construct a transaction that's accretive to both parties, where both stocks go up on the transaction? We didn't learn that in school, did we?
No, you're exactly right. There's been a couple of transactions that were announced earlier this week where you actually saw that exact phenomenon. But I think, again, it's the market embracing the fact that companies need to do transactions. They need to do deals. They need to change their business model. And they look at it, and it's the sort of classic win-win that you've seen recently in the market.
Well, maybe win-win, but that's as top of market as well. How are valuations right now? We see toothpaste companies with 29, 28, 30 multiples, PE, whatever ratio you want to use. How silly are the valuations when you begin a strategic discussion?
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, we're 10, 11 years into the longest economic recovery in U.S. history, and as you would expect, stands to reason valuations are at an absolute all-time high. So that makes deal making a little bit tougher for sure, because as you pointed out earlier, trying to get the returns more challenging. But again, companies can't stand around and do nothing, so they need to keep themselves in the market and keep growing, and M&A is a great tool for that. But as it relates to the strategy discussion, look, you got to be in the market and you got to do deals. So our clients are still very active, notwithstanding that valuations are high. You just got to do more with the asset when you buy it.
What is private equity doing? And as a broader sense, the private money out there, are they getting boxed out by legitimate strategic acquisitions?
Yeah, I think they are fatigued from participating in these large auctions where they'll be bidding vis-a-vis a corporate and they'll just get bid out of the transaction.
Yeah,
so what I see from a bunch of our private equities is sort of trolling the 2,000-ish public companies that are out there and looking to take them private, with a transaction.
Almost like an LBO. I mean, I was talking about this the other day. Essentially, it's a new LBO, right?
Yep, exactly. Go troll the public markets, find an undervalued public company, take it private, and then exit the investment in 5 to 7 years.
I mean, let's get on the edge of milking here very quickly. Colin Whitmer, how do they do an LBO with the interest rates where they are? I mean, it's not even. Is it a risk-free transaction because rates are so low?
Yeah, I was just going to say, rates are still at a historic low, as you know, so LBOs are still very attractive, and the banks are healthy. There's been a little bit of pullback in the leverage loan market as of recent, but the banks are still healthy. They're still lending, and you're right. With interest rates at this level, it can support an LBO. That's for sure.
It's been a great briefing. Colin Whitmer, thank you so much. PwC's U.S. Deals leader, and really interesting, folks, and something that will, I think of Shonali Basak, our chief financial correspondent, something that will drive forward through the year. Not only the private equity, I'm using that in a very broad sense of private money out there with literally trillions available, but also just the normal strategic acquisition. We saw that with that. Today's Friday, right? It was Monday. Colin. Monday was Mega Deal Monday, or before the holiday. Maybe that's what Monday will bring.